Let's go.
You are about to experience the uncensored conversations, stimulating wit, and the thought-provoking wisdom. Bold, raw, and uncut. Right now, on the Lancescurv Show.
Welcome. Real Talk with Lancescurv on Sunday night. I don't know what to call it. We got to differentiate from all these different shows that we have, but I promise that we're going to be going live a whole lot. I don't want to confuse anybody, but we do have a live conference call with Brother Keston going on right now. It's not video, it's just audio. So understand that. I'm looking over there at the screen. I should be looking over here, right in the camera. But like I said, in an effort to multitask and get as much done as we possibly can, I told you we're going to come with the content. So I will tell you that we have a great show from Renegade Jones, Sister Emma. We spoke with her earlier. We spoke for about 2 hours. We're going to put that up. Brother Keston's show right now is going on the 888 number. I don't know if that conference is locked because we had a lot of noise go on. So, Brother Ross is here. He has a few things that he wanted to share. You definitely know him from when we shot the other stuff we were speaking about, American descendants of slavery. Everybody in the chat room, the screen is way over there, so I got to wait to pick up my phone because we're way in the corner. I don't know how we both can fit in this corner like this, Right. But again, we just have the one camera going. Now I see we can have more than one because my other switcher is working. I still haven't rewired everything. We have been going. I got a little sleep last night, but I got right up and I got right to work. So this is what it's going to take, and this is what I love. It's almost like a 80-year-old guy who races cars. He might be an old man, but there's an exhilarating feeling that he gets from being in the mix and walking on the edge. So for me to juggle at capacity and multitask and do all these different things, knowing that you'll enjoy what the chef creates. I'm not saying I'm a chef or great cook. I just learned how to boil water yesterday, right? But my brother here, Ross, and I, we spent a day together, man. Brother Keston's over. Brother Josh's son is going to come over. Minister Reba Bliss is going to come over. So we have everybody over here, man. And like I said, I'm going to work this stuff until it, you all have been showing me love, and I'm going to make sure that we keep everything going. Again, I cannot see the chat room right now, even when I put the glasses on, because the computer's way over there, and we're doing a little makeshift thing right now. But I want to welcome you, brother. I want to welcome you, man. I want to welcome you again, man. I'm going to run you down. Right. You got a lot of things to say, and I'm going to keep you talking. I'm going to keep the camera in your face and the microphone up under your nose. And so since you said you want to do this, I'm going to run you down, brother.
That's what's good.
I'm nuts.
Let's give it a shot.
But yeah, at some point, I'm going to get the text message. I'm going to have to answer the door because I'm expecting somebody. And we're just going to probably bring him when I have to do a commercial with him. And no, he didn't text me yet. Renegade Jones is asking me when I'm going to premiere this. And I might step away for a second and work on uploading Renegade Jones' show. But I'll be back. But like I said, I just want to warm you up. Yeah, there it is right there. Just hit that one there.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll be able to see the chat room. Just open
There
up.
we are.
Right
here. That's the difference.
Yeah, right there. Live chat. Okay. What am I not seeing here? There is chat. Okay, that's top chat. Okay. I'm getting the YouTube brain fart over here. We've been having a wonderful time. Okay, here we go. Maybe it's some kind of delay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's See, it's still saying six minutes and before.
6 minutes before, but we're live right now.
Yeah, we're live right now. I don't know why my.
Okay. We'll figure that out, right?
True.
We'll figure that out. Because I know we're live right now. We have folks in the room. Let me check it out on my phone because I did do something else that may have been the reason why. But we're just gonna roll because we are live, so it's not a problem. I just want to get to that chat room. It's the main thing. Okay, if not, so be it. I see that we're live. We're talking. Folks are in the chat room.
Just kill that.
And I'll give it on the other computer, and we'll be chopping up like that. So we're not gonna. This is very much impromptu, y'all. We're not trying to be super professional right now. We're home. We've been recording a whole lot of stuff, and like I said, the more and more that I look into the news, what they call the news, we have to understand that what they call the news is what they chose for us in the so-called mainstream media. And we have to now pick from that to decide what's important to us. We've got to go the extra mile and seek out what is important for us. And usually what they leave on the cutting room floor is what's important to us. What's trash to them is nutritious to us, because the mainstream media's, I'm just warming you up, man. I'm running my mouth right now, right?
You're doing well.
The mainstream
Keep going.
media's goal is
Just
to
make-
feed us trash and to keep our minds in a certain place and keep us distracted, and to make it real sweet. The colors and the sounds and the music and the juicy stuff and the decadent stuff. They want to keep us vibrating on a lower level, keep us in a lower state of mind. And like I said, I've subscribed to many other sites to share it on melaninenvy.com. But when I check back to look for news to transfer over to the Facebook page, I'm seeing stuff about Cardi B, Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj. I'm like, wait a second, since when have entertainers become leaders or influential people in our community? So it's like,
Truth.
I have to reject all that and undo all of that, man, because good news is hard to find. And whenever you have an enemy who wants to disable your movement, they strike at your communications, they strike at your media. When you see something black in the media, you got to ask yourself, who really owns this? Is this black? Is this owned by a black company? Are these black folks sellouts? Or they're part of a big corporation where somebody else is pulling the strings?
AKA
What
Breakfast
happened to
Club.
black media, black newspapers? Yes, and we can say this. We'll say, well, why? You're racist. You're talking. It should be just black. Yes, it should. Because when Jews have their stuff, you don't see them talking about Malcolm X's birthday. You don't hear them talking about anything dealing with us of relevance or whatever. They talk. It's an in-house family talk. But we're not allowed to do that. And so whenever they see that we have any type of media coming up, here they come with the smile and the grin and want to buy you out. They want to buy you out because they want to control you. And by controlling that, they're controlling the thoughts of the masses. And we can't have that. So I'd rather stay right here in this little makeshift bedroom with the computers and all these things jumping around, and we just grind every day, because I commit to doing at least one live stream a day, if not two, and several uploads and stuff like that. When I get my time off, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I smell blood, and I'm going to go for the kill. The opponents on the side of the ropes hurt. I'm not going to sit there and back off and say, trainer, should I hit the guy? No, I'm trying to bust his head open righteously. I'm not a violent person. I was going off on a violent rant right there. But no, they have taken control of our minds, and our minds are wide open, because when we see somebody who looks like us, we just stare at the TV. Oh, yeah, we're doing good. Look at the award ceremony. But you know how many people around here are hungry? How many people around here don't have any way of producing any money, or don't know how to connect with other people? We got to connect with the people. We don't know what's going on around the corner. We hear a fire truck. We don't know what's going on. We see the cops. Oh, somebody did something bad. We go on home, peep out the window. We're not even connected that way.
Right.
We need to make it where when the police come into our neighborhood, they're very much apprehensive and very respectful. If they knew that we had respect for ourselves, which I'm not saying all of us don't, but if they knew that we moved in a cohesive manner, in a concerned manner. What happened to concerned citizens? That you go to other neighborhoods, they'll tell you, I'm a concerned citizen and I need your badge number and I need to know why you're here. And if everybody's like that, what are they going to do? Take the bullets they have and shoot everybody? They're going to beat everybody? And most of us are afraid, if it came down to that, to even catch that first bullet. If we all had the mentality, and I don't mean the actual bullet, and I do mean that too, but we need to have the mentality of, okay, I will be the first to catch the bullet. Lock me up first. Let's give the jail constipation. Somebody's going to have to answer to that. You see what I mean?
Right.
So we all got to have that mentality, all for one, one for all. And we know many are just going to talk the talk and not really mean it.
That's what it is.
But we can't worry about them. Because when you stand up in a righteous manner, even that one who's riding the fence, I feel kind of bad. I can't have him do this, man. And I not stand up, because they got to look in their face in the mirror the next day and know that they are not a man. They can be a male and use the male organs on their girlfriends and whatnot, impregnate them and act like they're dentists and want to check their tonsils with their organs and whatnot. But they know they're not a man.
Right.
Your penis can be this
That
big,
stands
but
for
you can be the
something.
biggest man in the world by your character. Manhood is not about the size of your penis. It's about security. It's about love, real righteous love, not the word love when you're trying to get something that you're not supposed to get at that time, but real love, unconditional love, loving your brothers and sisters unconditionally, even when you don't know who they are. But because of your packaging, you know that they've gone through the same experiences here, because that oppressor makes sure that we all feel the same fire up under our backside. All of us do. You can pretend and act like, well, I live in this side of town and I make this. You can get 6 figures on your income, 7 figures on your income, 8 figures on your income, but you're still a nigga to them. Oh, you're talking so harsh. I'm not. I've got black friends. I have them over for dinner all the time, and they're the ones washing the dishes. They're the ones coming over late. Park around the back, so it's a little safer. No, it's not. You don't want them to be seen with you. And you go protest, which I don't believe, right? And I said this before. You go protesting, the white folks come protest with you to show this. And how they do it? When I do black power, I'm like, yo, black power. Black power. Why they do it like this? Like they afraid they can't they're not committing to it, man.
Right.
They put the big glasses on and they hide behind the sign. Is it over yet? So when the news comes, it doesn't catch them. Megan, I'd like to know, were you out at that black protest there the other day with the nigger, the coloreds? No, it wasn't me. It sure looked like you. I saw a sign in the glasses. I didn't see too much of you, but it sure looked like you. No, I was home. They don't want to. They're not going to go all out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, because all of the stuff happening that they see, they don't do anything. Stop expecting them to do stuff for you. Stop expecting. As long as things stay the same, you won't hear a peep out of them. What does that tell you? That you got to do it for yourself. We marched like a little kid in Walmart who didn't get the toy or the ice cream that they wanted, jumping around. I'm protesting. So what? They got what they ain't changing the system. And they may even come with you to some little singular event, but are they going to change the system that benefits them? Because whether they say they like you or not or hate you, whatever, the system as it is benefits them. And they ain't going to change it.
Hey, Lance, can you, so I can get on, watch the chat, because I think I'm just not getting a real strong signal.
Okay, you're not. Okay, we're going to hear.
That way I can see the chat.
I can't say the passcode out loud. No, you can look at it. You can look at it.
You're good.
Because you're going to be coming over here all the time. I mean, if you're in the neighborhood, you can sit on the front step if I'm not home and, look there. Boom.
True.
There it is.
Gotcha.
That's supposed to get you in.
All right, now I should be connected.
I got a few trusted friends. They can pull up at the car and go into my, whatever. It's like that. But the other ones who don't, I'm going to get you. Right? But, that
right,
should be
so now we should.
Hit live. I don't know what the heck is going on with your phone.
I'm wondering. It's on my phone. I'm wondering if I see 4 people connected, but we didn't see it again.
Yeah. It might be because I made 2 shows. Oh, there it is.
Oh, we got to catch the one.
There's one that's live. There you go. Now we're in. We're in. Sorry about that, everybody. Now I got to check my phone to see if this brother's texting me.
You got to make sure we're on the right.
Actually, I got to delete that other show. I made 2 shows,
everyone.
right? That's bad. Is he outside? Okay, he's here at the garage. Oh, dang. Here, I'm going to put this down. I'll be right back, y'all. I'll be right back.
All right, go ahead. All right. How's everyone doing this time? What's good? It's Ross. Lance and I'm going to chop it up a little bit. Chop it up for us all. Some of the things he's talking about, those things he's speaking on, the real. Who's going to be in the fight when it's time for the fight to go down? Fight's going down now. Are you in it already? Are you all talk? What's good? I mean, that's what he's speaking on. That's what we're talking about here tonight. Number of things. I'm going to be addressing this, talking about some specific things having to do with us guys. Women are definitely fine on chiming in. I'll gradually be glancing at the chat, seeing what everyone's speaking about and talking on. Had a little slow start here. Get on my end, getting connected. But yeah, how's everyone doing here tonight? What's up? Like Solomon, Ronald, Darren, Brown Eyes, DJ, Gold and Melon. Yeah, what's good? Good evening, everyone. True. Yeah. Come on in, man. Come on in and link up with us. Yep, Eddie, Ronald, Sword. No, thanks for our moderators tonight. All right. So, yeah. Come on and hop in here. What's good? All right. Good. Think about someone. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm Brother Johnson, Minister of Wholistic Health and Wellness at Third Eye Unlimited, and just here to share and stop by and share with the family all the different health and wellness options that we offer to help uplift all humanity.
All right. So we'll just randomly chop it up and lead into some things, but I want to address some things with us as men. Women are fine on chiming in, through the chat. But let me see. So I just kind of want to put some things out there. We're randomly talking, let it get as raw as it can get, and at the same time, stay on point. I just thinking, as men, there's a lot of things that are circulating with the way we look in general, the way we really are individually, versus the way we're identified by the media. There's a lot of chatter going on that. Don't want to repeat anything, but I'm hoping that the ears and eyes that are on now, we can make a real conversation out of this. I want to address how the ideals on how we are as men, our perspective on how we're seen as men, and not just men. I'm sorry, let me correct something. Black men, men of African descent, men that are taking pride in who we are, in our color, of who we are and how we stand, and not how we're being represented, but we're trying to the whole time. Actually,
Okay. Can you hear me now?
sorry about that.
Can
Yeah,
you
his
hear me
mic is
now?
not working. Thank you, Dewana.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
All right, we're good.
Wonderful.
So why don't you introduce yourself again now?
Okay.
We'll do the introductions again. Go ahead.
Not a problem. I'm Brother Johnson. This is like I said, this is
Thank you
live
so
and
much. Sorry about
direct.
that, y'all.
And yes, this is Brother Johnson from Third Eye Visions Unlimited. I'm a minister of health and wellness, and we offer a wide variety of natural solutions to everyday issues, teaching people how to take back their power so you can experience the unlimited you. You can find us at our website, thirdeyevisionsunlimited.com, and that's spelled with a number 3, RDEYE for your eye, visions with an S, unlimited.com, and we're also on YouTube at thirdeyevisionsunlimited.com, Facebook at thirdeyevisionsunlimited.com, and Instagram, okay? So you can find us out here offering and putting in the ministry every day. Glad to be here, to be a part of the conversation.
All right. And of course, Ross. All right. That's what's up. That's good too. So
So back to the main conversation you were putting as about men in general.
Yes.
And I know I'm just coming in and joining the conversation and how we're perceived, the different issues. And for me, I always approach it, of course, from the holistic standpoint, dealing with the not just the energy of what we're perceived to be doing, but the things that we need to do to make ourselves better, mind, body, and spirit. Because if we allow others to define you from an external standpoint, you're already doing a disservice to yourself. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. So as I was saying, the reason I was saying that is because I want to kind of paint a picture of why we're identifying who we are versus how we've been identified.
That's correct.
Okay, but I don't want to go into
self-determination.
I don't want to go into just who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I want to deal with how we've been defined, because we know who we are,
Right.
and I want to talk with our brothers and sisters about, and particularly with the man about, how we are allowing ourselves to be identified individually, which plays into a collective identity. When we think about the way women think about us, our women think about us, black women think about man, and we think about women, our interactions with one another, our interactions as man with each other, our interactions as man with younger man,
That's correct.
and our interactions as man with others' children and our own children, so us as fathers.
That's right.
So I want to touch on all those things.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Those are great topics and relationships, especially how one of the main things that we offer is we do parenting consultations. And of course, in the dynamic of being parents, you got to learn how men and women interact, especially when they're preparing to bring another life force, a divine being back on the planet, right? So this is crucial in how you partner with another, the sacredness of the union. How do we even define what we call sexual relations today? We don't understand. A lot of it is not properly scientifically based, and it's not proper gender based. We have a lot of what we call gender bender issues going on in this. We make light of it, but it's a very serious issue. So within that, let's say, conversation, we want to make sure we also touch on healthy relationships amongst people of melanin dominance. Now, you said color earlier, so as a scientist, I always want to make sure we give people the right information. To whom much is given, much is required. We've always heard that statement, right? The more melanin you have in your skin, the darker hue, what they call dark matter. A lot of people don't realize you have a greater responsibility to live a more holistic life because you manifest things more powerfully. So, for example,
that's awesome.
For example, if someone who's melanin dominant takes cocaine, they are more likely to be addicted to cocaine than someone who's melanin recessive. Why? Because you are given more responsibility. You're supposed to be more in tune with nature. You've actually drifted more away from nature. So you get a greater punishment. A lot of people don't understand that. So they think, I can do everything everybody else does. No, you are actually supposed to be the example. You are the bar. The judge wears a black robe for a reason.
Wow. So
okay,
so,
you are the standard, and you should be living at the highest standard of Ma'at, what we call the 42 laws of Ma'at, or the 7 divine laws, or the Kuji, whether it's laws of Kwanzaa. So you will be more addicted to drugs, alcohol, and all of these other things that ail other communities. So as men, we have to know this as well going in, so we can take proper action and govern ourselves accordingly.
Okay, so you just kicked some information out that may be new to some of us and our viewers. And what I was thinking, I'm sitting here hearing you chop it up, and I'm like, so that means that me being darker and you being lighter, that I have more of a responsibility, or that more is going to be required of me?
That's correct.
Can you feed in a little more on that dynamics and why it's set, and why the laws are set up that way? Because if there are laws or whatever, why nature has set it up that way?
Okay, I can feed into that. That a lot of people know what the chemical is carbon when it's living in your skin. A lot of people know it as melanin. Now, melanin is a magnifier. It is a transmitter, a transducer, a receiver, and a magnifier. It is like a lot of the equipment you have in a stereo system. It not only is an antenna to pick up the frequency, it also breaks down the frequency and mixes them like a mixer, and then it can magnify them like an amplifier. So, therefore, knowing that, I then have to be more cognizant of the things that I'm inputting, your consumption, which consumption comes not only through the mouth, but through the eyes, through the skin, through the hair, and through your entire magnetic field. That means what you're eating, reading, thinking about, talking about, engaging in is all consumption. So if you consume a chemical, let's use cocaine, for example, because you have more melanin, you're going to now receive it at a higher potency. You're going to magnify it in your system, which is why it has a greater effect and a greater addictive result. So that's explaining it from a biochemical explanation of melanin, the chemical that makes your skin darker, your eyeballs dark brown, that protects you. You have natural sunglasses. Most people don't know that. The darker your pupils are, the darker, that's actually shades. You have built-in shades that protect you from sun. So that's also why you need more sunlight to generate the same amount of vitamin D, because you have a greater protection from the sun already built in.
Interesting.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that does. All right, so that's pretty interesting. That's some interesting information. So with all this that we're just talking about, about the responsibility because of the shade.
Yes, in our the shades,
or the shade,
or the various ways in which melanin represents itself.
Okay, so which is really cool, because I guess that's why I was motivated to speak on this thing to us as brothers about the way we're handling ourselves. Okay,
that's correct.
So let me think how I just want to lead into this, and feel free, definitely help usher me through this as we go. Okay,
sure.
All right. I'm not by the way, I'm not a video YouTuber or anything like that. So this is my almost like my first time.
That's
just
fine.
Really trying to speak live online.
So far, you're doing great, brother. I walked in and you're already handling the show.
So I just want to say that the vibe that's going on, there's a vibe in the air, and the strongest vibe is there's what I want to say is there's a disconnect between men and women. It's not even. The feeling, it's not an evenness. It's not a there's not a sense of that we're considered. The vibe I don't hear, the theme I don't hear, they don't see us as their protectors. They don't see us as their providers. They don't see us as the good fathers. They don't see us as the, when I say they, I'm not talking about any particular individual, but I'm talking about just the vibe in general. These aren't the things that when we're in the presence of each other that I hear, oh, you're such a great father. Men are such providers. They're such protectors. And that's what that's the frame that I'm coming from.
Right.
So I'm not taking out of context of where I'm coming.
Got you. All right.
With our viewers.
That's great.
All right. So, and as you were even sharing the example to help understand that with the darker the shade, the more responsibility. That's not really how you phrase it. Phrase it again the way you said it.
Yeah. To whom much is given, much is required. Okay. That's a phrase that a lot of people are familiar with. So I like to, speak to the people where they are and then bring them, elevate them to where they need to be. In the dynamic you just mentioned. Okay. So the perception, and not just a perception, the reality is that there are a lot of problems in relationship, especially when you live in a society where I think it's 55% of marriages end up in divorce in the first five years. It's almost like, they say most businesses fail in five years. Mm-hmm. Most marriages don't last beyond 5 years.
Okay.
For some reason, 5 deals with divine power. It's a numerological number that deals with 5. So understanding that now, the dynamic of a lot of us have been, let's say, damaged in a relationship, or even before you get to that point, a lot of us have a lot of childhood hangups. There's things that's been happening to us through the childhood.
They want to know our names again real quick.
Oh, no problem. Sure. I'm Brother Josh Sun, Minister of Holistic Health and Wellness, for those who want to know again. And I minister at Third Eye Visions Unlimited is the holistic portal that we operate through. And we do a large variety of mind, body, and spirit natural solutions, including consultations. And I travel and I speak at events. I'm bookable for people to come and learn about how to divinely come in tune with the natural laws of nature and experience the unlimited you.
I am Ross, or you can say J. Ross, but identify myself as Ross. That's it. Okay, so let's get back.
Yeah, so like I was saying, in the dynamic of relationships, you have 2 people coming together, and the quality of the relationship, like anything else, is going to depend on how much that individual has already known about themselves, how much they've worked on themselves, and how much they've grown. Think of it like building a wall. The quality of the bricks you use determine the strength of the overall wall. So the quality of the individuals coming into the marriage will determine how long that marriage will stand. So a lot of us have not been trained, been taken away from our indigenous training, our indigenous rites of passage as men, where we were forced to go through certain learning passage, certain trials and errors that would have developed us and given us a certain amount of backbone long before we got to the point of marriage.
Such as, so say like myself. I was a young man of a single mom. I was a boy of a single mom who grew up without my parents. So what I learned about being a man would have been what I learned while dealing in society on the streets, going to school through my peers.
That's right.
Whatever man the women that were in my life brought in their lives to be around me.
Correct.
My peers on the street, luckily, in some senses, when I was 11, I didn't want to hang out with my peers. I like to hang out with 17 and 23-year-olds. So I got some sense of integrity from that anyway. But just these are the things that play in all our lives when we're in single parent homes, which is the majority.
Currently, yes.
Yeah, currently. And I think during the time I was coming up, I think it was still the majority. The 80s, I'm not sure. The 80s, I think it was, single family homes.
It was close, yeah. If it wasn't a majority then, it was close to maybe 40, 50%.
Because times have changed.
It's over 60%.
Yeah, it's way different now, yeah. And so the input I've been given is not solid input because to get solid input, we need men of integrity and character growing up in our lives around us.
Correct.
That have learned these principles that we've been made aware of that have not really been there for young men coming up now, millennials and Generation X and who were before millennials, the 90s and 80s and those 80s babies,
Right, exactly.
So I just wanted to put that in there. Go ahead and continue though.
Yes, but what you just shared is very crucial because that's a typical example of someone who's a boy that's being raised, a young man, and I like to use these terms of endearment because they're already young men and young women when they're coming up. And if we treat them that way, educatedly, in terms of manners, in terms of the way, then they will grow up seeing themselves as just fulfilling that role. So, perfect example. If you don't have a father of your own in your own home, you naturally, or mother, because this goes for young girls too, but we're talking about men in particular right now,
yes,
you will draw upon the other examples of man hood that you see around you, whether it be an uncle, if you have an uncle, or if your mother has another brother, other cousins that are older than you that could almost be your father's age, or if you don't have any of those in the immediate nuclear home, you start finding them outside on the basketball court, in the neighborhood, on the corner, at school. My coach seems like a really tough man. He's a basketball coach at my junior high school, and I always looked up to him because I never had no other examples, but this was a tough big brother, and he ran the class with like serious rules, and I a lot of people, I've heard those stories of who was the father figure in your life. It was my junior high school football coach or basketball coach. He was the most masculine man I knew all around the neighborhood. He was the guy that didn't take no stuff. You had to show up on time, he didn't get up in your face and he represented that like almost militaristic drill sergeant type guy to some young man. And as a result, they had a lot of respect for him because they didn't have that at home. They didn't see that on the corner. They didn't see the positive models. They saw aggression,
right,
and physicality on the corner, but it wasn't the type that they want to emulate. They saw where that was going real quick, jail or the graveyard. Okay. So those are that's naturally for us to seek out to replace that which has a void. That's a fact of nature. You have a void. There's a saying that the universe abhors a void, meaning the universe seeks to fill every void. Wow. So if you have a void, naturally the universe is going to fill it.
Wow. And on that tip, I'd like to add that at times there were men that actually did step up in my life that left an engraved mark that I like to compliment and speak on now. And maybe because of that, it helped me to be the man plays a part in the you know how you go through life and you get worn by life. Mm-hmm. But if certain things are interjected in your life, they can save you from being worn in certain areas. That's correct. And that's what I want to interject. That this one guy, him and his wife, they were the Houstons. And Willie J. Houston, he was a man. He was a religious man, but with that, he had principles that he practiced. He farmed. He was a farmer. He worked for the city, and he was a farmer. He worked for the city. And he was a farmer. He worked for the city. He was at the time he was a deacon in the church, right? And so he was a man of position. Like he was a deacon, so he kind of held like a role, yes, and responsibility. So when we were home, he took time to him and his wife. They actually took us. They were foster parents, and they took us. And he was a black man too. I want to add that he was a black man. But the thing I want to emphasize on is the things he showed me was he loved his wife. He respected her. She respected him. I really noticed that as a little boy, played a part in that. He farmed the land. Mm-hmm. He got on the tractor, went out there and farmed. We farmed with him. Right. These things were building characters in us as boys that I didn't know about at that time. I thought of it as work. I was ready to go to school, play with my friends, do my studies, and play at home. But no, we're gonna get on the farm. He's a serious farmer. He wasn't a pretend farmer. That's right. And he was a man's man. He was the kind of guy that you understood that other women may like him, but that his wife was his priority. As a little boy, that was clear to me. That's right. I'd like to also interject that he was a community man. He was about his community. Very important. And so they had other relationship with other married couples, and relationship with other people. The people they surrounded and stuff were people of character, because he was a man of character and held that expectation. But the one thing I can appreciate about him even more is that he wasn't pretend. Like when I looked at him and I saw how he interacted with other people, I always saw the same person. And he was really fun too. So he had some consistency. Yeah, there was a lot of consistency, right. And then he loved the barbecue, but he'd get this thing, he had a little eye. And we were little kids. He put it in his eye, and he like a monster, and he chased us around the house at night. And he did this like 2 or 3 times. Now, I knew him for 4 years, but I was young. At age, I think it was 8, was the last time I saw him. And but that 4 years, that man laid such an impact in my life. That's right. That he was like a father to me. That's right. Even though at the time I didn't really know that. Yes. But like you said, the things that are
laid and you're planted, the seeds.
Yes.
The seeds, use the right term, the seeds that are planted germinate and bring forth fruit many years later.
True. And so then we fast forward, well, I just want to lay that in and say that then from there on, there were no identities of true men that were just solid in my life.
Right.
I saw, I did grow up with like I say, the older kids, and luckily for me, some of them weren't the gang type. They were more like the ones trying to get a job. Good. They wanted to have a girl, but wanted to,
Right. So they were still positive associates,
right.
Positive associations. They weren't like trying to take you down the wrong path. They weren't
Correct.
trying to influence you and put a peer pressure, as they say, on you to go to do the right things. If anything, that you got peer pressure to do the right things, because pressure can go either way.
Right.
It's all about what the peers you're hanging with.
But the disadvantage the kids have nowadays is that these guys will have us on the street boxing each other within the neighborhood, running races, competition.
Right.
And something funny I thought about that happened is I realized that if a girl liked the guy or a guy liked the girl, everybody wasn't trying to take her away from her. They respected that. See? And it was strange because when I think back on it, those things happened, but I didn't realize the impact they made or how much integrity during this time or the area I was in that was there. So I feel that I had favor for me, which is why I was looking when you said about, with much comes much, because I didn't think about it looking back on these things, or there were things that were favoring me to make sure that I had the right things in place.
You know what,
That's
Ross?
right. That's right.
This mic is open. I'm just going to say something you can't
Certainly.
say, but I'm still right here with you. It seems like these days, which I'm out of the game because I'm a married man, but from what I see, it seems like when you are interested in a young lady, no matter what the age group, it seems like now all the sharks want to come after her now and take her away from you and not show that kind of respect. Even if they're not really interested in her, when you have a serious interest, from what I see now, not with everybody, it's a game now. It's like a spoiler game now. And they go, I took your girl or whatever. But back in the day, let me tell you something, it went so deep, and I'll shut up after this, that if you had somebody that you were dealing with in a relationship, or you liked them, or you were pursuing them, or you were kind of dating with each other, even if it didn't work out and the relationship was over, the other fellas around you, whether they're friends or distant people around you, they never went toward her.
Right.
Maybe somebody distant would, but somebody in your circle would not want you to think that you were thinking about her when they were with. So the code was, I don't mess with your exes. Mm-hmm. I don't mess with your sisters. If you had a sister that was fine and the world was going crazy over her, I'm not gonna mess with her if I'm your boy. If I'm your friend. Mm-hmm. Only if we got to be adults and it was a decent way.
A proper way where you approach the family and everything like that.
Yes, the proper way with the commitment and everything transparent. Those rules are gone right now.
Yeah, we're gonna
and that's
talk about that, brother.
And there is a famous quote. Once again, I like to use things people can relate to right off the bat, so I can pull them in. There's a famous quote that there used to be honor amongst thieves. So even amongst thieves back then, they didn't cross each other.
Exactly. There was a code.
There was a code. Even amongst thieves, even amongst people that were doing bad behavior and devious things, they still followed the code, not to mention the upstanding and honorable people. So yes, you would not go after someone who is your close friends, your exes. It was almost, we wouldn't do that. It's like, look, she would have to go, my allegiance is to you.
Right.
So because my allegiance would be to you, she's now an ex. I'm sorry, you can't now see me going out with her. That's going to create a rift between us.
Let's weigh in this a little more.
So that's another way about why men should be operating with men. Like we're talking about how brothers.
Exactly.
These are some of the codes that you want to be honorable in your actions. And so just for you to finish up also, the impact that gentleman, the consistency that he put in your life, and then the transition afterwards where you had to deal with more people on the street or in the neighborhood, but yet, even though they were on the street or in the neighborhood, sounds like your neighborhood still had some type of structure. There was still some elders who were guiding you all and saying, look, if you have an issue, you're going to fight it out right here fair and square. Or you're going to just compete with each other, block races and whatever. Right. So there was still came about because there was structure in your community.
Oh, definitely. It's going to take just a little bit off what we're talking about, but let's go ahead and revel there because it plays a part in where we're going in the conversation as we're talking to man now anyway, okay?
Okay.
And when I say man, I am talking about age 55 to 15 because we're talking to young men too.
Yes, that's correct.
Young man too, okay? And but anyway, let's gravitate in this for a moment. So they wouldn't, and there was a sense of integrity or character, but it wasn't that, you know. And even remember when, okay, well, I don't know if you remember, but for us, if you had a sister or she was someone's sister, it was just like you weren't trying to dog her out, make her look bad. It was a respect for Pamela. If you're in the same community, there was a sense of respect. And not only that, though, but, well, what I want to emphasize when I say not only that, though, is that, you know, things that are unspoken of that just are code. Mm-hmm. Not because it's spoken of, but the way it's handled, you know, the vibe and the sense of, all right, this isn't even acceptable.
Right. Correct.
And that was the type of vibe that lingered in my teen years or my younger teen years. And that I saw that these older teens, 17 and 23, between 17 and 23 had. And they set the tone for. So all of us younger jits, or younger guys in the neighborhood, middle school, high school, didn't go off that code.
That's right.
And even though other areas where there were gangs around those neighborhoods, that wasn't a code. We didn't go off that code.
Okay, so you didn't get caught up in gang warfare and all these other negative behavior, because that's, of course, we know that's a prison to, you know, pipeline right there, basically. Right. And this is important because the young men, like at the time you were a young man, and really from the time you hit puberty, chemically, your chemistry is going to want to make you be more aggressive naturally, or you're going to want to be, you know, your sexual impulses are going to start kicking in. So this is why it's important to have not only knowledge of self in terms of what's a man, but also how to interact with a woman from those early ages, because now your hormones will start kicking in from the time you hit the puberty, and you should have already been getting some basic training before that point, not after that point, because you could already get yourself in trouble once you're already in puberty. So this is why you start teaching certain things from birth to 5, 5 to 12, 12 to 18. Because usually most people start going through or entering or going through puberty at 12, 13. So, and by the time you get to 16 in other societies, you're considered an adult. Here, they wait until you're like 18, and in certain things, they want to delay that till 21, which is ridiculous. And what that does, it further pushes you back.
Pacifies.
Okay, it further pushes you back. Instead of forcing you to step up at 16 and be a man, you're now waiting to 21 to be a man, which is 5 years behind most of the world.
Correct. Especially since women develop a little quicker.
Oh, yes. Girls develop faster, and so men need to have certain extra training. Even if you're going to be on the same age, chances are, in general, not always, in general, she's going to be about a year or two above you in terms of maturity. So I just want to...
No, I just want to interject that I've always had this statement, and I never really broke down the reasons why. But I always said to myself, it seemed that many of our black brothers in the urban society in general seem to get our manhood card a few years after others. And I know it's a community thing. I know it's a breakdown of the family. I know these different factors, but you touched on something that was so important, because it seems like there's some of us who get to our late 20s. Now, we have some old fools here that have in their 50s. Gray hair doesn't mean wisdom, but you know what I mean?
Doesn't automatically mean wisdom.
Have you ever had a situation where you bestowed wisdom on some person who had gray hair and the obvious wrinkles, and they open their mouth and sound like a damn fool? And I don't mean education-wise, but I mean it's just as far as their respect and how they carry themselves. You would think that as old as you are, you didn't learn to be better than that. Right. You know what I mean? But it just seems as though many of us who are caught up in the world and the material goods and this fake status of what we think manhood is, because it's been engineered through the entertainment and what we see projected on us. Okay, we see the malt liquor billboards with the pretty girl and there's a car back there. We start looking after the wrong things instead of developing ourselves as clean young men, upright, upstanding.
That's correct. That's what I said. The
real value of a man.
Right.
And not just the lower pursuits of a male.
That's right.
We have to consciously
go
distinguish. After that.
Yeah,
we
distinguish
have to talk
those.
to the
That's
younger brothers,
correct.
let them know the difference, that it's not about how many women you can get or what you can do. It's a matter of commitment and taking care of them, even going beyond your own woman. And I don't mean in any decadent way, but taking care of all around you and in your path. Mm-hmm. And I said,
and look out for women in general. So if you
no motivations,
right, and it's
bad motivations.
The character is crucial, because and even the women, because we counsel both men and women in our ministry. Even the women are also there's a dynamics here. Let me add the dynamic in for those who it's not just the responsibility of the men to cultivate good men. It's also the responsibility of the women to cultivate good men. What do I mean by that? There's a famous saying out here in the world that most women don't want a good guy. They want a slacker, or they want a hacker, or they want somebody who's they encourage
we're gonna
bad
talk
behavior.
About that.
So the dogs get all the cats,
Right.
as they say, right? And the good guys end up last. So that adds into the dynamic. We can't ignore that. Why? Because if men realized that women would never deal with them if they weren't of good character,
We're coming on
you'd have a whole lot of people
Anthony Lou.
that are of good character. In other words, what gets celebrated gets incubated. Have you ever heard that saying? What gets celebrated gets incubated. If men knew that they would never be able to get a woman's number if they didn't have good character, if their pants wasn't at their waist,
Yes.
if they didn't work on their spirit, their education, their school skills, and I don't mean education in terms of degrees, you had some type of skill, you had some type of trade, you could make
for
something
real.
with your hands. You could, were you a welder, painter, train driver, bus driver, it makes no difference. If they knew that you were of good character and you didn't mind putting in sweat equity and you didn't mind protecting women, children, and elderly with your life if need be. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about that warrior spirit, that positive warrior spirit. It's not being quick to kill somebody because they stepped on your sneaker in a club. I'm
Great
talking
point.
about being quick to defend your woman, your children, and your elderly if anybody comes and messes with them. That's when you need to be a warrior, not quick to kill your brother.
Correct.
So if
On
the
point.
women now only started having conversations with men like that, only gave their numbers to men like that, only went out on dates with men like that, overnight, you'd have a huge amount of men developing characteristics like that. Because why? They realize they would not be able to reproduce otherwise. And in nature, if you can't reproduce, what happens to you and your seed?
Fade out.
Okay.
Hey, hold on. Let's reintroduce ourselves real quick. Go ahead,
Let me
Lance.
just say this one more thing.
And then we're going to introduce ourselves again, okay? For those coming in late.
That's right.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Brother Anthony Lou said that's a lie.
I'm
Women
a-
don't mature faster. That's a rumor that was sold and still being budded, and still today, whatever he meant that way. But he's saying that's a rumor, basically. And
Now, we're talking physiologically, okay? We're physiologically
Correct.
a female. First of all,
Correct.
as a minister
what
of
we're
health and
talking about.
wellness, the one thing I always share is the proper
Thank you.
scientific information. For that, brother, just want to let you know, physiologically, we're
That's
not talking
correct.
necessarily
Good point, Golden Ellen.
sociologically or psychologically. We're talking physiologically. Their physical body develops faster than a man.
Golden
By the
Ellen,
way,
gotta make sure
all
you meet
birds
that
are
standard
male.
that you're setting as well.
All birds are female, just so that brother knows that every zygote, every pregnant baby that's born, that starts off in the womb, starts off as a female. He may not know that. And so as a minister of health, these are the kind of information we bring to the people. And what's the proof of this that someone may ask? If you're a man, I want you to lift up your shirt and ask yourself why you have nipples. That is nature's way of reminding you had breasts first. But they atrophied. That's the only reason you have a nipple. If you were never supposed to be a female, you'd never have a nipple. Okay? I've been sharing this mind-blowing information since 1987 on the streets of Brooklyn.
Oh, run that by us again. All right, run it by me. Run it
Just
by
the
me again.
physical proof that you still have on you, that nature placed on you for you to carry and remember for the rest of your life, is that all zygotes, all fertilized eggs start off as female. The penis is nothing more than an elongated clitoris. Your prostate is nothing more than a shrunken uterus.
that's right.
Okay? So they all start as female, and to let you know for the rest of your life that you started out as female, but a chemical switch took place, it left nipples on your body. That's the only reason a man has nipples.
Whoa, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Okay.
I'm not offended by it at all. I just
you
never
shouldn't be.
thought about it
Yeah.
that way. That's
so
very-
otherwise, there's
very
no
interesting
reason to have
information.
nipples because you're never meant to breastfeed anything.
Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves again so they'll know you. Go ahead and I'm Ross. This is
This is Brother Ross. Once again, this is Brother Jason, Minister of Health and Wellness from thirdeyevisionsUnlimited.com. And we share powerful information, not only through our website at thirdeyevisionsUnlimited.com, but through our Facebook page, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And that's written the number 3, RDEYE, Visions with an S, Unlimited.com. So what I just shared people are usually
This is
their jaw.
Lancescurv, and I approve of this message.
You co-signed on it, Lance?
What I shared is information that's out of the box because I'm always on the ball. I'm not in the box.
That's
We
what's up.
come out
That's
of a
what's up.
ball. We come out of,
Yeah, what's
in
good.
some cases, 2 balls. We go into another ball called egg. And then when the egg starts growing, that creates a bigger ball called a stomach, like, a pregnant woman. And then when you come
True
out
queen
of
monogamy.
that ball, you show up on this ball they call Earth, and you just keep on balling. You're always on the ball. You're never in a box. Just remember.
All right.
So I share that information because a lot of people don't physiologically attach the information they've been given to their body, which is your constitution, which constitution takes you back to your law, the universal law represented in man. So we're talking about man and how you operate. If you're operating out of law, out of natural law, you're going to have problems. If you're operating out of social law, societal laws, you're going to have problems. If you there's even laws for relationships. We're even operating out of biological laws. A lot of people don't realize they're no longer attracted to each other because their hormones are off. Their pheromones are off. We've been brainwashed to cover up our natural smell. We have something called antiperspirant. We wear something called cologne, which in the French word is eau de toilette, which really means water of the toilet water.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that eau de toilette is a French way of saying you're wearing toilet water. Why? Because people didn't want to smell like the toilet, so they put water on. Because a lot of these things were developed for people who didn't bathe for 30 days or 3 months.
Okay.
People who lived and bathed and took care of themselves didn't need any kind of cologne or perfume. They were naturally perfumed with the natural oils, the environment, the flowers they had in their hair, the natural things they ate gave them a good odor. So they didn't need to create all of these concoctions.
Right.
So we have to always, and what that does is it messes with your pheromones. You won't naturally be attracted to a man or a woman to a man if your pheromones are all off.
Wow.
Pheromones are important in physical attraction.
True.
What they call a sexual turn on. So if you're wearing all this crazy stuff, I can't even smell you. I don't know what you smell like. You're hiding under a fog over here.
Oh, wait a minute.
This
This is
why
we're gonna chop this one up.
You're hugging up your woman. And
We're
you
gonna be all over the place
face to
tonight.
face, and you inhale that little area by her hairline. It just smells so sweet.
No, we're gonna take it a little further than that. So okay. In my past, there were times I was going to the club and I put on this cologne that I liked, right? And I'd be like, man, this particular sister, that particular sister ain't feeling it, but I like it.
Right.
Now I understand.
Yeah, because you were trying to attract yourself.
Yeah.
And instead
very much did, just only attract myself.
Yeah,
Right.
You
True,
attracted
true.
you and
But
repelled them.
That's some look, I'm all open to being enhanced, being schooled, being
we're here to
being
learn.
elevated. That's what's good. And I
that's
hope
right.
our audience is also we're not coming to this thinking that hopefully you're not coming to this thinking you got all the answers.
No.
But we're coming to this to
If
chop
you already-
it up,
if
talk
you
about
already-
some
yeah.
things.
If
and-
you already had all the answers, you would already left.
Yep.
You wouldn't be here anymore.
or they'd be on there trying to school us through chat, right?
Right. And even then, and here's another thing. Everything is a continuum. So even when you check out of this outfit, this earth suit, you're still going to another school someplace else to continue the process. Because it's what? Unlimited. Remember, we name it Third Eye Visions Unlimited for a reason. Unlimited is the English way of writing out the infinity sign. So instead of just putting the infinity sign, they came up with a word called unlimited. Okay, so it's infinite. And you're going to have infinite experiences and experiences. So we're still talking about manhood. We're still
Correct.
talking about all that. And we're talking about how the different ways in which you're also affecting your manhood. Now, from a holistic standpoint, being a minister of health, one of the things that we touch on, there's a chapter in my upcoming book called Toxic Beauty and Chemical Castration. It may even become a whole book. But right now it's a chapter. Toxic beauty and chemical castration is when we talk about the chemical perfumes we put on, the makeup to break up, because that's what we do. Okay, makeup to break up. That's what we. I forget who made that song. It's stylistic.
Makeup to break up.
To break up. That's what we do. And then you make up to you wake up to make up. So some of us are going to sleep to break up, and we wake up to make up. So what we're talking about here is how the chemical compounds are affecting you, and yes, affects your manhood, meaning a lot of the chemicals you're putting on in the cologne, the chemicals you're eating in these things they call food, which is really junk. There's no such thing as junk food. It's really junk. Food is always nutritious. Junk is destructive. These things affect your testosterone level. There are endocrine disruptors. They interrupt your pheromone disruptors, and they affect your prostate. They affect your sperm count. So all of these affect manhood. This affects not only virility, vitality, it affects how your masculinity. It affects you in many ways. So we deal with that on the holistic style and showing people how to cleanse their body, how to nourish their prostate, how to use natural oils and natural aroma that can still make you smell wonderful, but won't affect you chemically and mess you up in terms of lowering your sperm count and after a while have you smelling like somebody of the opposite sex.
Wow. Great point.
So this is and we educate the parents so that they can then educate the children from their young to pass this information down.
Give your links again for anybody that wants to hit you up for that information specific later on or reach out to you. You're local based in Orlando, right?
I'm out of Orlando, but our ministry is worldwide because we deal with people from all over the globe and we ship products everywhere in the globe. Once again, for those who want to reach out to us, the number is 615-604-4074. Our website is thirdeyevisionsunlimited.com. That's written like the number 3RD for third. I, like your I, EYE, visions, plural, unlimited.com. Why? Because we want to teach you how to open up your third eye so you can see the unlimited visions of yourself, and then you're going to experience the unlimited you. Did you know you were unlimited?
Do you have Instagram as well, no?
Yes, Instagram is the same. Third Eye Visions Unlimited. Facebook page, Third Eye Visions Unlimited, and our YouTube channel, type in Third Eye Visions Unlimited, and you'll find us there.
Let me get the number one more time. I want to type it into
He's
the
gonna-
chat. 615
615-604
604
4074.
4074.
And you could also type in the Third Eye Visions Unlimited.com.
Okay.
When they land at our website, we have the 3 icons on the lower right where they can quickly go to the Instagram, the
Why do men
Facebook,
have
and the
pure
YouTube
ribs?
channel. Those icons are already
Even
built
women.
into the website. So, once they land at our home page at the website, they can quickly go to the other social media outlets and follow, and share us there as well.
All right, so let's just take this in a direction that we've been in, but we kind of started because what happened is I really want to reach out to the man tonight and I don't want to say deal, but just bring into light or into the open a conversation about holding those of us who are older accountable for where we haven't put into practice or been involved with the younger man, as well as those of us as younger men who are mixed up because they either didn't have or hadn't sought the counsel of older men.
That's right.
As well as the younger boys that are suffering now, that are that can be held back, misconstrued in sexuality, held back in the level of respect. There's a huge gap of things that's happened, and instead of, this is just an opinion I'm going to say at this point, it's no longer a thought or a solid message, but there's a huge gap that when I look out on our youth, I look out on us as men, I look out on us as younger men. There's a gap and a disconnect in, there's no respect between each other. There's no community. There's no sense of willing to get direction. There's no sense of approachability. If you're not in a clique, if you're not dressed the right way, or if you're dressed a way that offends another, there are so many boundaries and barriers and obstacles that have been allowed to come up between us, right, that there's a huge chasm in the sense of where it's left our women feeling and thinking that we've evaporated, we're not there, or that they don't recognize what it is. And all of this plays a part in our failure as leaders, because a leader isn't someone you elect. It's who we are when we take lead and do the things that need to be done that helps the others around us as well as ourselves.
Right, that's correct.
And not just doing for ourselves. Go ahead.
And we have to know that this didn't just happen overnight. The issues you're laying out, the problems you're laying out, happened
over a series
Correct. Agreed.
of so-called enslavement practices and even latter day, I would call divide and conquer strategies that have been played out all the way into what we now call the material age. So individualism is the root cause of all these problems.
Okay.
Why? Because if you're not divided, you can't be taken advantage of. So this is why divide and conquer strategies are always in play. When we had a sense of community, like you were describing, men and women secured the block, as they would call it. You know, when children used to always be able to play and ride their bicycles and be out front, and the grandmas were in the windows, kind of like a scene of 227. You remember that show they used to have on TV called 227 with Jack Hay and the lady from
she was a security guard, right, or something like that.
They had the lady from they used to be from the Jeffersons. It was her show.
Okay.
A beautiful lady sister that's done a lot of good
Vaguely,
work.
I know what you're talking about, though.
And they had the grandmother that was always in the window. So when you approached the building, she was always in the window because she was retired.
Okay.
The ideas of someone who's retired and is now home. So they were the neighborhood watch. You couldn't do anything in the neighborhood, and all the elders were either on the porches or they were sitting in the window watching everything going on the street.
Okay.
Because they didn't have to go to a regular 9 to 5 anymore. So when you had that sense of community, that is when you were able to do a lot of these things. People looked out for each other, like you said. You can play in the streets till the street light came on. Then you knew you had to come in. You were bonded together. You had a reason for looking out for each other. When they started selling you the idea, or when we bought in, I like to always start from us.
Take responsibility.
Because I don't start from outside.
Right.
When we started buying into the idea that we need to go after individual pursuits rather than a community movement, that was the beginning of the end. So now it's not about us, it's about me. I'm going to get mine at any means necessary versus we're going to move forward by any means necessary.
Process still happening today.
So when it became individualism versus community, or what we call nation building, for indigenous people that understand, what you move indigenously, you're moving as a community, as a group. So the unity is what we need. Unity is what was missing. There was an organization called the UNIA. It was one of the most successful ever because the very first word was unity.
Okay.
United Negro Improvement Association. They were united, and because they were united, they were able to achieve things that many groups to this day have never been able to achieve or even come close to. So when we go back to that concept of uniting, as men now, when we started, I'm willing to kill my brother to bring home a check to my wife. I'm willing to sell drugs so I can have the fanciest Cadillac. I'm willing to pimp out young daughters so I can have on a fancy fur jacket and a hat to match. When we went to that game, that's when we started falling off real fast. They start selling us these movies with Jimmy Snooker Fly and this pimp daddy such and such. Okay, that was another form of psychological destruction. That was like dropping a nuclear bomb in your brain, and that brought us down further. So when we started buying into the pimp, thug, hustler, that destroyed the idea for young men now to want to become a mechanic, a mason, a brick mason, a truck driver, a train operator. Suddenly these a teacher, basketball coach. You didn't want to do any of that now because the flyest guy in the neighborhood with the longest pink Cadillac was a pimp and a drug dealer.
That's true.
And a hustler and a gambler and a bookie. Wow. So let's go after those jobs now. See, I don't want to go to school anymore. I need to drop out of school because the flyest guy, Jimmy Fly Snooker or whatever movie they put him in.
That's true.
Yeah, I didn't see an upstanding
the trace
mechanic.
Of the image.
and then that also sells the wrong narrative to the young woman so that later on, she doesn't see a mechanic with a blue shirt with his name on the left as a good husband.
Right.
Suddenly, he's not seen as a viable husband today.
Right, he's not.
No one's chasing after bus drivers.
So she's 45 with about 8 kids, then all of a sudden it's too late. She's looking for Captain Saberhole.
You see?
I'm calling her sisters.
Right.
No.
It's the street term.
But you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a movie that Tyler Perry did, and it's one of my favorite movies.
Hello?
Because not only because he wasn't playing a woman in there most of the time, but because of the narrative of the movie.
Tell me.
It was about there's a brother Cujo from Living Soul Food. He played the role of a bus driver, and this other sister who was abused early that had a child.
Oh, okay. I
They
remember
later
that.
end up meeting up and becoming a couple.
Okay.
And I love that movie because why? The man who was just driving the bus every day turned out to be the man that was the best man for her, but she'd been driving the bus all these years, and he was just a part of the bus. He was like, it would be no different if he was just an advertisement on the wall.
Okay.
Because our women are also trained that these are not guys that we need to look for the guy in the video with the private jet. We need to have somebody who's got $1 billion in a Rolls Royce, regular everyday men who get up and work hard every day and provide for their family and have good character and will die for you, are overlooked.
True.
So that also lowers the pool of what they call available men, because a lot of times the mechanic, they're not seeing him as a viable option. They're not seeing the bus driver, the mechanic, the guy who's going out plumbing with a little white van doing his plumbing business, the one who does a lawn care business and cuts
Facts.
lawn every day. They're passing him up as if they're looking for little Jeezy someplace.
Yeah.
I have a question for you before you even go a little further.
Oh, there's a question?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a
go ahead
question.
with the questions.
It may be going back a little bit, but it's still in line with this. This is from a man. I happen to know him. It said, please ask Josh's son about emotional intimacy from a man's perspective and how you would cultivate it in a relationship. And this is what I'll add on to that. Okay, we have people out here who may have gone maybe to another country out of high school. We have a lot of folks who have gone into the service out of high school. And sometimes that same time that they would have had at home in their neighborhood with one of the high school crushes, that's gone now. I'm just using an example. I'm not necessarily saying this is the person, but I happen to know this person. And that developmental stage, not that there's anything wrong with them, but they've missed out on that. And sometimes when they go through very tough times where they are with their own personal issues, sometimes health issues, there's a distance.
That's correct.
That in coming back to the population, and this could also be a person who unfortunately may have gotten locked up.
Oh, yes.
Where they got locked up from young, and they might be 30 years old, but the time since they were 18, they only had 8 months out free. So they're a male, but they don't feel that they can relate. So no, these two that example in the prior individual's question, that doesn't relate.
Right.
That was an upstanding young man, but sometimes it's tough to relate to a woman who may have been in her own world for a while, the gradual, coming from school, going to school, having family, whatever. Now you're dating her, but a big chunk of your time, not playing the field, but in the field of life, learning yourself from your interactions and dating that were not there.
That's
How
correct.
do you now catch up to a person who has had this experience, and you have life experience, you intellectually know, and and you have emotions, you have love in your heart, you want to do the right thing, and you are doing the right thing, but sometimes you break through the ice when you're skating on the lake and you fall into the icy water, but you don't come straight up. Sometimes you're feeling around for the hole, like, am I going to drown into here?
That's right.
And you have this love inside of you, but sometimes it's hard to relate. In general, how do you cultivate that to reach a woman that you probably are involved with, but maybe she might say, well, you're a little too cold, you're a little too distant, especially for a lot of our vets. Also, let's frame it in that. And I won't say any more. I don't want to.
Yes. Great question. The first answer might sound a little simplistic, but it's powerful. You start off with meditating. Meditation, quiet time. Some of us, we deal with so much noise in the world and so much attack that we don't have a balance or a harmony in our quiet time. When you learn to discipline the flesh, magnify the spirit, you free the mind. I'm going to say it again. When you learn to discipline the flesh, you're going to magnify your spirit and free your mind. They say free the mind and the what will follow?
Yeah.
The rest.
Yes, yeah.
Everything else.
A whole lot of the rest.
So you have to first discipline the flesh, or what we call the lower self, right? The beast body, the 6 carbon, 6 neutron, 6 protons, right? We have to deal with the beast self. So since the flesh self is holding the pain, it's remembering all the brutality, the cuts, the bruises, the shots, the blows, all of that's still held there. There's energy trapped there. You have to first start cleansing mind, body, and spirit, and you start disciplining the flesh by teaching yourself to meditate, by using nature to assist you. Most of us have grew up in a concrete jungle. We've never been to nature. We don't go walking in the woods. We've never hugged a tree. We think hugging a tree is some sissy activity.
I love hugging trees.
You see?
I just don't.
That's another part of the.
I hug them.
There we go. That's a part of the negative narrative that we've been given about men.
Right.
We've been given a whole lot of things that we're holding around and calling manhood. Is not a man in the hood.
Right.
It's not a man in the hood. Hope you catch on to that. We've been given a lot of things that, well, men don't hug trees. You know, that's some sissy stuff. That's not true. And when you connect with nature, that will help to get rid of the abuse you went through as a boy, the trauma you're still holding from the military or going to war, abused relationships. A lot of things we carry around, and they expect us to carry it around. And if you try to ask for help, or if you quote unquote talk about it, you're now complaining. You're now a complaining man. You're a man. You're just supposed to just tough that up. Well, guess what? You can only shove so much. You can only shove so many feathers in the pillow before it explodes. And that's where a lot of us are. We are like walking, ticking time bombs because we don't have a natural outlet. So this is why you utilize nature to help you. That's the greatest way to soothe issues. Go to the beach, go to the park, meditate, connect with nature. We teach about how to use natural crystals. We teach about how to cleanse your system. A lot of us have also a lot of anger because our system is pent up and we carry a lot of negativity and parasites in the body. You may not think that affects the way you think and talk, but let me tell you, I remember watching an interview with Wesley Snipes, brother that grew up here in Orlando, and he said when he was filming the movie Blade, he had to eat steak all the time to be so angry so he could play the role out.
Oh, wow.
He recognized, because he doesn't normally eat that kind of diet. He said, in order to be that angry guy with the blade and everything, he had to change his diet to bring out the anger. So we don't realize what we eat also determine how angry you are.
But you know what's messed up? I'm a vegan and I'm more pissed off than ever before. No,
that's okay. That's okay. Why? Because you're probably pissed off at something that needs to be changed in the planet.
That's true.
There's a difference.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, there's a difference. It's what you're channeling your energy to.
I'm an angry vegan.
You understand?
But I'm better than I was when I was eating McDonald's hamburgers.
See?
I was really pissed then.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is I'm addressing that.
Yes.
Now when you have to bring your best self to the table. A lot of us are damaged because we've been through trauma from childhood or later, and we're bringing that to the table. And what I advise a lot of men to do also is that you should practice more celibacy. I know that may sound radical, meaning if you're already in a relationship, well, we're going to work on you while in a relationship. We're not saying to mess up the relationship, but let's say you are looking to get with someone.
Right.
A lot of us don't spend enough time cultivating our own self before we try to get with anyone.
See? Especially when we break up, we bring the same baggage to the next relationship.
We haven't properly healed from the last
that
trauma.
Lemon on the car lot that we just sell to somebody else, and down the block it conks out.
Listen,
and as you answer, I wanted to also to another person has said to me since I mentioned the vet, PTSD.
Yes,
PTSD.
PTSD.
But don't continue with what you were doing, but I'm just throwing them at you, man, because this is a role, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, because PTSD. Okay, so now we have to address the holistic ways of dealing with this rather than just being put on psychotropic or mind-altering drugs.
And for those who don't know what PTSD is, just kind of explain it to them before, in your own way.
It's a post-traumatic stress syndrome.
And it's not just for vets. It's people who walk around here.
No, it's any kind of traumatic activity that you still suffer from, and that still has a trigger hold on you. I'm going to use certain keywords. If it still has a trigger hold on you, then you could be shooting off at any time because it has a trigger hold on you. And we have to learn to what? Break a lot of the trigger holds on us so that we don't become reactionary, right? To things that we start to learn to think first before we open our mouths or act, because that's how a lot of us get in trouble. We have a trigger hold on us. So whether it's society putting pressure on us or our significant other in our relationship, we're so quick to be triggered instead of realizing the more self-control I exercise every day, the more self-control I have every day. You have to take control, take a responsibility for how you respond, even though if people are coming at you in ways they shouldn't. Ultimately, you still got to say, look, I'm not going to let someone trigger me and push my buttons, because if you allow that, then you've just become a victim to them. You become their puppet and they become the master. Don't give them the strings with which to control you. Because once they realize they have a control mechanism, they're now up here and you're dangling down here. They just became your puppet master. Because they know, when I say this, oh yeah, all I got to tell him is he's an N. And man, he's going to flip out on the job and lose his $60,000 job. So they could easily get rid of you. All they got to go is come by and whisper, "Hey, Ann," and you're out of here. And now you can't. Do you wonder about how you're going to take care of your family? They already knew that before they came to you and said that. They knew this is an easy way to get rid of him because if we lay him off the regular way, he might sue us.
True. Some other. I want to lay out some examples of
Go ahead. Sure.
PTS, post-traumatic stress.
Yes,
syndromes.
PTSD.
Okay.
Mhm.
PTSD. Okay, so say you're in the
Stress
hood.
disorder,
Say you're in the
post-traumatic stress disorder.
say you're in the hood, and you're used to guns going off.
Yes. You might have even seen some people got shot.
Correct.
I have.
And there you are. That's something that triggers. Say you're in a
Yes.
home where either parent is abusive to you as a child.
Right. Or to each other in front of you.
I'm going there, you know. Boom. There's another one. Say, here, how about this one? You have a hard time fitting in with your peers.
That could be a stressful disorder. After a while, if that keeps going.
Because these are triggers, you know.
Or if you've been bullied growing up
That's where
on
I
campus in school.
And of course, the latter examples were going to be what you share, which are other on your significant other situations,
abusive relationships,
job circumstances. How about military and work-wise for the males? The work you do, the training you do, but you're still not given or receive that what's one look for, where you're made to feel recognition, or not even a recognition, because you're not looking for recognition, but where 2/3 of the work, it takes you to do 2/3 of your work before it's considered the 1/3 they do.
Gotcha. Right.
That inequality that
We
plays
don't have
against
equity.
our mentality and our ego as males that can create that stress.
That's correct. Yeah, because there's not equity there. Wherever you don't have equity, you don't have justice.
Right.
Without equity, no justice. So all of these are the dynamics that, once again, we're expected to put together in a beautiful package called harmonious marriage or relationship or even community. These things don't just affect marriage.
Correct.
They affect working with people. When you're trying to build an organization. Let's say I need 100 men right now to go form an organization. We're going to do some cleanup work in the community. We're going to do environmental cleanup.
Great example.
You still have to overcome all of the individual angst that they're bringing to the table and issues and time management and anger management. Man, don't talk to me like that. I'm going to have to take you outside and show you. All of that's going to pop up in the middle of the meeting when we're trying to have 100 men in the room to get together to go do something.
I'm going to tell you something funny. Okay, so I used to be the type of brother that when I went to the grocery store or anything, I didn't want nobody in front of me. I didn't want nobody behind me. It just messed with my space.
Right.
You know, and it was like a stress.
Right. To have someone.
Right. Yeah. I don't want nobody at home. Hey, you keep your space, I'll keep mine.
Proximity. So you were
know,
like almost,
proximity, yes.
almost claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But,
And
but
so can you
with
imagine?
people?
Can you imagine working in a group trying to pick up?
And that-
Or what about? Well, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we have to overcome these obstacles so we can build very strong communities, very strong family. The family is the basic building block of nation building. So we're about nation building. You have to strengthen the family. Like they say, charity begins at what? Home. If you can't be charitable at home and give of your energy, your expertise, your knowledge, and all of that to your home base, then how are you going to give that out to a greater community? So, and the people knows it. The society and the people who govern society and manipulate society know this. This is why they had to attack the family unit. So one of the things they did was to attack the so-called provider and protector by creating a massive prison system, the largest in the world. You got to add like the next 20 countries to equal this one, to massively disenfranchise the men from the home. The quickest way you stop a man from being a provider, you just lock him up. He's not totally removed. Not only is he not providing, he cannot protect from inside prison. So that you can have access to the women and the children. So we have to understand this is a constant war that's going on. This is not a joke. And therefore, by having the largest prison population on the planet, bar none, in just these 48 states here, that creates a big disservice to the overall community and the nation by having so many men removed. And the women are fast growing too. They're the second largest, the largest population of women in prison in the world is also here. Wow. That's another big number that's rising. So you have to factor all of these dynamics in when you're talking about why isn't there not enough protectors protecting the women. You have a huge section that's removed. The ones that's left over now got to do double work. Not only you got to, like Brother Lancescurv was saying earlier, you not only need to now think of yourself as protecting your wife or your woman, but you have to also see yourself as, I may need to protect 4 or 5 women in the community because their 4 boyfriends or husbands may be dead or in prison.
As long as we're not thinking with our lower.
No, yeah. When I'm speaking.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying,
let's, because that's another thing.
Thinking with our lower.
Correct. That's when we say protect. We're not talking about once again coming in and being a predator. You're not a protector if you're a predator. Mm-hmm. You're not. Protection truly means I'm traveling down the road. I'm heading my way into a Walmart or to some type of store, and there's a sister struggling with a big shopping cart and 3 children.
Right,
I should automatically be helping her to her car. Right. Automatically, I should automatically be trained and been through rites of passage to know that it's my job to make sure she securely makes it to her vehicle in a dark parking lot at night, because you see a woman, even if she doesn't have children, she's burdened with a whole bunch of things and she's heading to a vehicle. You should automatically, you're on the way in, mind you. Right, you should stop and help her to her vehicle and then proceed in. These are the kind of rites of passage and character building traits that we need to instill in our son.
You know the sad thing, they will see a righteous brother and we move to do these things. She gets scared because of her conditioning.
Correct.
But we've got to break that.
We have to break that cycle.
Okay. I've noticed that.
Yes.
Even sometimes in driving the bus and there's nobody else on the bus and there's an older woman with some bags. Mm-hmm. I'm not supposed to do this and I might get in trouble, but I'm not going to make her walk a whole block and a half. I might pull the bus that way or pull over and lock it down and walk with her bags right to her front door. I've done that.
Right.
And these people know me like that. And when others see you do this, it wakes something up inside of them like,
correct,
that was real cool. I need to do something like that.
Correct.
Or I'll say, brothers, hey, there was a situation where I was ahead of time on my bus route and I had to stop. Half a block away, there was an older guy whose car conked out. There's about 15 brothers on the bus kicking it, and half of them I knew. I said, listen, man, we're going to be sitting here for 15 minutes anyway. Let's go on down there and help this man.
Whole nother topic for another time. But
and one of the dudes was such a good mechanic, he got the car started.
That's right. And that's and because the women, like you just alluded to, are also damaged because they've probably been mugged, raped, or other things.
Yes.
Sometimes even when you offer to help escort them to their automobile with the groceries, they're like, no. I don't trust you. I'm not walking back to my car with you.
Right.
They suddenly want to see you as the enemy, even though you're an upstanding man trying to help.
Right. And
they're like, no,
that
I'm
can
good.
hurt
Just
sometimes.
back up.
We've got to understand that they have been through stuff.
Yes, because some of them have been followed to their vehicle,
yes,
potentially raped or mugged, carjacked.
Correct.
Yes.
So now a man coming around them when they're about to get their vehicle to them is a trigger.
Right.
That's a trigger scenario. Like, no, don't come around. No, just stay over there.
Right.
I'm good.
PTSD. Mm-hmm.
PTSD. I'm good. Don't approach me.
Okay.
You know a funny thing too? This thing called video. I was coming out of a Walmart. There were people around. It was late. I'm walking back to my car. Another young lady was walking to her car over.
That's right.
You know what she said? Lancescurv, could you help me with my groceries? Look, she knew me from this.
Wow.
And knew my character from this.
See?
And asked me to walk with her.
See?
So you never know who's watching. And it
That's
doesn't
correct.
have to be an online thing.
That's
it could
correct.
be that you did a good deed and somebody else saw.
That's
and
right.
they come aboard and
That's
will
right.
ask you.
That's
and
right.
then now, when one woman who knows another woman, and it's not just a woman thing, it could be a brother you're helping out or whatever. But
That's right.
You have to spread the love that way righteously with no strings attached.
That's correct.
right.
Leave the lower half out of that. Correct.
We need more of these examples because once again, if you don't popularize the positive, what's going to automatically dominate?
The negative.
There we go.
The foolish.
Like they say, like the great saying, the only thing required for evil to win is for good men to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's a famous quote that, similar to that. I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but the bottom line is if you don't put positive energy into the universe, it's not going to ricochet and come back. Think of everything energetically as a boomerang. The boomerang effect, you throw it out, it comes back. Well, if you don't throw out positivity, what do you think is going to come back? Right. So we have to keep throwing positivity out there, not only as divine beings, but tonight as men, so that also the young men who are watching, whether we're realizing enough, just like we all watch men around us growing up, they're watching you, whether whether you want to say you're a role model. That's another phrase I want to touch on real briefly. I'm tired of people running around saying I'm not a role model. Guess what, folks? You don't get to make that decision. You actually do not get to decide if you are modeling a role.
You sure don't.
Guess why? You're always modeling a role. We came to Earth to play a part in a big play called life. So you're modeling a role. Like you're in a role on stage when they have a play going on. you're modeling a role. The audience gets to watch and tell you how you're modeling your role. You don't actually get to say that. Can you imagine a character on stage in a play saying, I'm not on the stage. I'm not in the play. How crazy would they sound?
Foolish, because they're on the stage.
You're on the stage of life. You're always modeling a role. That's where the word role model come from. Just flip it on them. You're always modeling a role. So others on the outside get to look and see if they want to emulate something you're doing or not. It's not your job to go around saying, I'm a role model, you're going to follow me. Whether you like it or not, someone's always watching you. And they can determine whether or not they're going to borrow something from Brother Lancescurv, borrow something from, Brother Ross. How are you going to stop them? Hey, man, I like your shirt. I'm going to buy one next week. How are you going to stop me from buying one? Can you? No. So you just became my role model. You see the point?
Exactly.
It's an external choice. It's not something that you can just determine. Go ahead.
All right, so real quick here, because we want to bring some solutions. Because we started talking about the issues and the problems about, and we've kind of went all over the place talking about different things that all tie into this matter that we began on. But really, if we could, I would like us to focus on bringing some focal points to us as man.
That's right. And we've touched on
disrespect.
Something. Yeah, we touched on something.
And no disrespect to the sisters today. It's just
that's fine. Yeah.
Let's talk like men and about being man and situations of where we can rise up and be different as man and set the tone for the way we are identified as black men.
That's correct. Okay, we're going to pick up right there and reiterate some of the solutions we've given before.
And before we do, why don't you introduce yourself again?
Okay, for those who are just joining, I know it's a continuous stream. For those who are just joining us, I'm Brother Johnson, Minister of Health and Wellness at thirdeyevisionsUnlimited.com. Okay, and that's written with a number 3RD, EYE for your eye, visions with an S, unlimited.com. And once you land on our main page, we have our Facebook, our Instagram, and our YouTube channel icons in the lower right. You can click those and like, follow, and share to all the social media outlets. We offer holistic health and wellness solutions for men, women, and children, the whole family. And tonight, we're discussing specifically manhood, what that means, and the solutions on how to maximize that. We mentioned earlier about cleansing the body. Why is that important holistically? To be a good man, you first have to be also a healthy man. There are too many sick men running around, and I mean sick physically. Prostate cancer is on the rise, as a lot of people may know. Your prostate is an atrophied uterus. We mentioned that earlier. So the uterus is to the woman what the prostate is to the man. And having a healthy, powerful prostate is more than you realize in terms of being a powerful man. So by us being
great point to emphasize.
By us being also the kidneys are dealing with ancestral energy. For those who are not aware, the kidneys, every organ is associated with a different type of energy. Your kidneys house your ancestral chi. When we learn Qigong, a Blue Dragon Qigong system. And why is this important? Because a lot of alcohol, excessive fat, prescription drugs, denatured junk, which we're calling junk food, sodas and burgers and everything. These mess up your kidney, give you kidney stones, gallstones, and then you become into a debilitated state where they want to put you on a kidney dialysis. Well, you can't be a powerful man with kidneys.
We're heading there, Indigo.
That's your ancestral chi. So this is why we give the health solutions. Meditation for those. Why we want to cleanse the system? People on PTSD and all these other things are taking, a lot of times they're prescribed drugs, chemicals, harmful to the body, So we want to cleanse the system to get the drugs out the system.
Synthetic.
As men, we also need to get back to the earth, farming. So we get back to natural food and being able to provide for ourselves. In the protector-provider role, if a society cannot provide their own food or protect their own food, they're automatically losing. They're on the losing side. So men need to understand that it's important to farm and have food that you can not only provide for yourself and your family, but you can protect. If you cannot protect the water source, the food source, study the book, The Art of War. They attack food and water sources automatically because that's how you get them to not be able to what? Replenish their supplies, replenish their stock, replenish their troops. So this is why we mentioned the importance of that.
Very good point.
We're going to touch on educating the young men. Once you get a certain level of education, pass down all your skills. Mentor a man, a boy, wherever you are, whatever skill you have. You're a brick mason, teach that. You're an electrician, teach that. You're a plumber, teach that. We have to come together also in terms of commerce. Why? Because as you can see that you're unfairly treated in many of the corporate arena in terms of, you like they say, last hired, first fired.
Correct.
You're the number one incarcerated. So we need to come together and pool our resources into doing more business with each other so we can build up an economy to provide for ourselves and not rely on others. This is the self-determination, the Kujichagulia energy that needs to be cultivated, and it's already happening in certain men. They're out there. We need it more. We need a whole lot more cooperative economics amongst men. Since you're supposed to be the main provider in the regular traditional society, which
Correct.
society is not traditional anymore.
No,
Most women
certainly
have
not.
most of the jobs in corporate America. They are graduating with all the degrees from universities. So in reality, we're not seen as the main providers today. We don't even make the most money. Even though we may get paid higher in terms of the unfair scale,
Correct.
most corporations have more women in the jobs than men. Okay? And so we have to learn to be creative now to do cooperative economics amongst ourselves so we can build up a strong economy so men can finally actually be back in a position to financially provide.
Adding to that, would you the necessity of the words we use, how they're spells, and how we have to watch how we tie that into this, okay?
That's
because
correct.
that plays a very important part too.
Yes, and words are spells. That's why you spell words. You ever heard the saying, "I would go spell me a word"? Well, spell has two connotations. You're spelling it as in counting it out in letters, but also casting a spell. This is also why they say we speak with a forked tongue. You can speak positivity or negativity. You know, the forked tongue like a snake. So when you open up your mouth, there are two types of phrases you can use. One's called a blessing and one's called a curse. And a lot of times we actually curse ourselves by speaking negativity over ourselves and over the lives of others around us instead of speaking positivity, because what you put out in the ether does come back, that boomerang effect. Words are also important in terms of law and legality. So a lot of times, we in general, while we're having regular conversation, we refer to ourselves as black. But in law, black has no standing in law. I think it was Obama that said that on the Tom Joyner Morning Show when they announced him in the beginning as the first black president.
Okay.
And he made sure he clarified that. He says, well, in law, because remember, he graduated at the top of his law class at Harvard, and he was actually a law professor for a lot of people don't know that, for 8 years before he went into politics. And his specialty, he has a PhD in constitutional law, not just any kind of law. True. And he was telling them
Sucks
that
for us that the law really isn't applied
exactly
in favor.
No, and especially when you put down that you're black on paper now.
Yes.
I'm not talking about melanin.
Wow.
Yes, we're melanin.
Wow.
When you put down on paper in any
true.
contract, in any legal document that you're black, you automatically go to the bottom of the barrel. Which is
or
why
African American, right?
Right.
So those are the checklists now.
Correct. So that's why
black African American.
That's right, and that's why in law, Obama said it all. Obama said black has no standing in law. He said it on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. You might be able to still find this in the YouTube world. And Tom Joyner played it off and said, "Oh, you're funny. You'll have a job as a comedian when you get out the White House." But Obama was not joking. He's making sure that on the air, that's a syndicated talk show that's listened by millions around the world, that he was not going to put himself down as black in law. Because he, as a man who graduated at the top of his class, was the president of the law club, and was a law professor that taught law, he was going to make sure that you don't put black. When you put black, you're saying you're chattel property, that you're actually property. You're not a living divine being with human rights. So therefore, that's why they can do a lot of stuff to us and get away with it in the court system, because you're down as black. You're down as 3/5 of the person. You're not even a whole person. So we have to understand that. So that's another spell when you're dealing with words. Use words of positive affirmation. I refer to my wife as empress or queen, or even though queen has different connotations. Don't use the H word, the B word. Those are very important in relationship as men when you're talking to other divine feminine beings.
So you ever heard of overstand or understand?
Yes.
The difference? Go ahead.
And I will even give it another level.
Hey, there we go.
People, when an idea or a topic is technically above you, and I don't mean physically above you like in above your head, but above you in frequency. Think of everything in frequency. When you're at a low base and something is just a little bit better in the medium range, at a mid range, they're at a higher frequency. It's above you. So at that point, you are understanding it because you're standing under it. You're under the frequency of where it's at. When you get to the level of now digesting it, you fully comprehend it, you've just risen above it. Now they say you're overstanding it. So you go from understanding to overstanding. I added a whole nother level onto that many years ago that most people never heard. Now you want to incorporate it into your life. You bring it into you and you make it a part of your being. You now understand it. Have you ever heard that word before? Understanding. So you want to go from understanding to overstanding to innerstanding, and then you complete the divine spiral, which is called the divine nine.
Can you give me a practical example of understanding?
Understanding is, I learned about building houses out of mud huts or out of plastic bottles.
Okay.
Oh, so I'm now researching, trying to understand this whole concept of using recycled plastic bottles to build a house. So I'm understanding. I finally get to the point where I understand what's going on. I've actually gone out and get some. Now I'm building the house. Once I built the house and learn how to actually live in it and what's all involved behind the scenes in making this work, now I have an understanding now.
Okay.
I can literally, it's now become a part of me. I can literally stand inside the house if need be, or at the site. I've incorporated that into my life. Same thing could be with a dietary change or a relationship habit. You now can take an inner stand on that topic.
I understood. So let's safe to say that in the same way that knowledge is to comprehend something, wisdom is to actually do the practice of what you've comprehended.
Correct. We have a sacred formula we use at Third Eye Visions Unlimited. It's called W times knowledge. You know, people say knowledge is a lot of people say knowledge is wisdom, but no, acquiring knowledge is K times A equals W is our formula. That's our patented formula. K times A equals W. Knowledge multiplied by action equals wisdom. It's not until you act on something you truly get wise about it. To be knowledgeable, a lot of people, what we do, we go around and collect knowledge, but we don't really implement, we don't put it in work. Correct. And because we didn't put the action to it, because we didn't multiply it by action, we didn't get wisdom on the opposite side of the equation.
That's
so
correct.
You could learn about a hot stove all you want. Until you touch the stove, that's when you're going to really find out what being burnt is like. That's when the wisdom is going to, whoa, man, I've been reading about hot stoves all my life. I got books on hot stoves. I got, you know how people love to tell you how many books and videos they have at home. I have a collection on that. Listen, I don't want to hear about, I want to hear you collectively doing that. Not you have a collection on it. It's great to have a collection on it, but what have you done with it?
Yeah, knowledge. To know something has power, but to be able to act on it and to actually bring the life from it into use.
That's right.
Is the true power of it.
That's correct. That's what they call fruition. You want to go from you want to go to fruition. Fruition is when you're fully manifesting it about your life. So
Lance, I'm gonna die here, and we're gonna lose the chat on this side. Is there another we can bring the chat up on a different screen or anything like that?
Okay. Want some power?
Yeah, either if I had a long enough power cord to keep it.
I'll pull it up
okay.
over here.
So this is a beautiful thing that's taking place here. I really feel privileged to be a part of this, sitting here.
So I'm glad I dropped in.
Yes. Unplanned, just brought together. And
planetary alignment.
So I had some there were some notes I had that I can't reach, which were specific in what we're talking about that I was going to feed to you.
You really just came. You said, hey, we said yesterday I'll be home all day, but the timing is perfect.
Yes, I said I'll shout you whenever I'm available. As soon
as
I
you just came in, I said, just grab it, just talk for a few minutes, and look at that. Look at the wonderful dialogue we're having, man. This is how we're doing something right, man.
This is mad crazy because
synchronized, man.
This is incredible because we had just met the other day and talked, and then we called, exchanged numbers, and then we're like, we need to link up and talk, and we're like dialoguing.
We just exchanged numbers yesterday.
Yesterday evening, about 7 p.m.
Yes, after my event. After my event at 3 Mass.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And then well, it's not.
And I've been gifted with this.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's incredible, and we're dialoguing together.
Because I didn't even know I was going to see him this soon, or he.
And I didn't know, right?
Right.
So it's divine alignment, what I call synchronistic living. You live synchronistically. Mm-hmm. You just, things come into flow in the right time. So yes, I mean,
those notes. Okay, so I had some notes because I had some key things I was going to share, but I can't find them, so we're kind of winded from here. No problem. One of the other things I wanted to address or point out was that our roles, which we kind of covered, okay?
Dinner rolls?
No eating. I'm talking about just as one does not choose to be a role model, it's not a choice. It's based on when you're on the platform. That's right. Our roles is, man, at different ages. As a 8-year-old, as a 15-year-old, as a 22-year-old, because that covers the 17 through base, and as a 38-year-old, and as a 45-year-old. So I'm talking about, I'm going in reverse now. I'm talking about your seniors, your middle age. No, your what's after the senior, you have your what would a 45 and what would we consider that? 45 to 53, what we call that?
That's still part of a middle age, upper middle age.
Upper middle age.
I'm turning 56 next month. I feel
That's what they call it.
I'm a dinosaur, huh?
No, you're not a dinosaur. You got a long way to go.
I'm not as stuck on the numbers, meaning,
but
because you could be young at any age. It's about the mentality.
That's
as opposed
right.
to vitality.
You're right.
True.
But
Okay,
I get
now,
what you mean. But I get what
but
you
as a general address.
Yes, a general address to the general public.
And then you have your
30 to 40.
Yeah, which
30,
is your 30 to
30-somethings.
your
30 to
pretty much
45.
35 to 28, and your 21s and all that. So you're just that age range and a certain roles and things and certain roles and expectations that become of, like a 70, 60, 50-year-old man. You don't expect them to be trying to pick up every other woman.
No.
You don't expect them to be in the street or in public acting in ignorance.
No. That's
road rage.
You expect a certain level of maturity at that point.
Right. So when you see someone displaying that type of behavior or behavior that doesn't fit the role of their age
That's
or
correct.
identity, because some of us are young and we look old,
Right.
it distorts or it sends a frequency or a vibe of something displaced or out of place or not.
That's correct.
And so there are roles that we have to identify where we are and if we line up with that role. But how can we if we don't know what they are?
That's right.
And so this is information and things maybe we'll be able to touch on it. Maybe we won't. But this is the kind of information that I want us to start feeding
Yes,
the audience.
when we can follow up, like I said.
And
you
that's why I'm
can't
just
cover
throwing out some
everything
point. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But these are key points because this is where the historical indigenous rites of passage would come in, where you would go to different training and relationships and experiences and insperiences to show you that ways that you should handle certain situations and what's expected of you at different parts in your life. So we're trying to come now and correct a lot of dysfunction, okay, miseducation. You don't have a lot of men checking men.
Correct. Very,
Okay.
very, very.
You have some women trying to check men, but they may not be doing it in the right way. It's more of an
Correct.
abusive bashing versus a nurturing. When a woman checks you, it needs to be more of a nurturing check. It can't come like another man. The reason you have this dysfunction energetically is because, like you said, they have too many single women out here raising children. So they're having to try to take on what has become a masculine role and a feminine role at the same time. And as a result, you end up with a distorted form of femininity.
Catastrophe.
Okay, so men need to check men more. Women need to check women more.
On point.
That's really where it needs to happen. So you don't have this gender accusation of you're trying to do something to me because of your gender. More women need to set up and check women, so that way the gender part comes out of the equation. And more men need to check men, so that way it's not so much you getting corrected from a woman.
That's correct.
Okay, that way you eliminate the whole. You're just against my gender, or you're a man, you just don't like women, or you're just a woman, you don't like men. When another brother checks you, you can't use the gender part. Now you're gonna have to find something else to say about why he's checking you, because he's a man just like you, and he's telling you don't need to be doing that, brother. We also where I put the onus in a lot of ways at the foot of a lot of older men, especially ex-military. Now, understand the PTSD. I'm taking that into account.
Good point.
However, I've met a lot of military men who are scared of young men, and it floored me. The first time I experienced this was many years ago. I worked next to a military base in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
There's 2 military bases there. And I met a lot of military people that's been in the military for years. And there was a high crime rate at that time going on in Savannah, Georgia, which kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting what I perceived in my mind as a small southern city to have such high crime. People were getting robbed downtown, carjackings in certain neighborhoods. And I met a lot of melanated brothers from the military, and I said, they were like, hey man, be careful of going downtown. I'm new to the era, so they're giving me a heads up, telling me, be careful if you're downtown at certain times and make sure you lock your car and don't keep any valuables. And I said, okay, what's going on? They're like, people are getting mugged recently and their cars are getting robbed and carjacked. And I said, but you guys are military, right? They're like, yeah, 10, 15 years in the Army, all this kind of. And I said to myself, now wait a minute, what's the problem here? You guys were highly trained army, been on tours
Combatant.
all over the world, trained to kill, and you scared of some punk with his underwear showing. That's what you're telling me. And I did not have any respect for these brothers after that. You can't tell me you got decorated stripes from going over the seas, not scared to kill and maim over there in the name of United States of America, come back with all kinds of decorations, and some punk downtown with his underwear showing makes you scared to walk at night. That's what you're telling me. So I put the onus of especially military-trained men. If you could be bad for everybody in the world, go around the world, have everybody else running from Uncle Sam, your neighborhood should be the safest neighborhood to walk in America. Because there's no way you can have Al-Qaeda on the run over there and some young punk named Tyrone got you on the run over here. Okay? I don't want to hear that. You can't be bad for everybody else in the world, and when you come home to your own neighborhood, the gangsters and the little drug dealers got the women scared to go out at night, got grandma scared to come out on the stoop. You same military, highly trained murderer, killer, trained to take people out with your hand, with a knife, with a weapon, without a weapon. The punks should be scared of you. There should be no drug dealer in the neighborhood peddling drug. There should be no pimps in the neighborhood peddling pimping because you are back on the block. They should know you're back on the block from serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. There should be no excuse. You are highly trained and dangerous, and they should know it. So my calling is to the military men, not just regular men, because you're trained. Regular men don't have the training you have. We haven't seen the wars you've trained. That's why you got PTSD and all this other stuff. These young guys running around doing all this crazy stuff, breaking into people's houses, carjacking, making women scared to walk to the parking lot with their groceries, should not be happening with all this many trained military brothers.
You would think.
It should not be happening. There's no way. These guys are trained to take out 4 or 5 people. No, there's no way. When these punks see 5 of you coming on the block, they should be hauling butt. Because if you could take on 10, 20 people in Iraq in the desert,
what's the street?
There's no way you can tell me you're now scared.
For the country.
An ex-military guy is telling me he don't want to go downtown late at night because they got criminal. Really?
So tie this in. So where are you going with this?
No, this is where we need to band together to make our neighborhoods safer.
Okay.
Our women should not be living in fear.
You threw me because you mentioned PTSD, and I thought you were going to say it was because of their post-traumatic stress or something.
It is because of that. But what I'm saying is that still doesn't diminish the fact that you have been trained to curtail certain situations. And yes, because you have PTSD, there are certain triggers. For example, I worked with a Vietnam vet where we were walking downtown Nashville one day for a luncheon, and a Harley Davidson passed by, and I guess it was running so rich it backfired. It sounded literally like a gunshot going off, and that immediately triggered him to jump over a car and literally curl up on the sidewalk because for that moment he was transported back to Vietnam.
All right.
A loud banging of the bike going right by us on the sidewalk. So, yes, I understand and fully appreciate and could relate to people that I know from the military for PTSD. So I'm not putting down in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is you're still a trained military man that should not be messed with. And you need to now utilize those skills, even though war is never pretty.
Correct.
But you can now utilize those skills that you gained in a very dangerous, dark time in your life, fighting war, into a better good now that you're stateside. Now you're back in the mainland. You can use those skills that you learn in war to actually bring peace. This is how you can use skills from war to bring about peace. We shouldn't have neighborhoods where we're scared to have all these young people running around, committing crime, murdering each other. We should be able to go in and say, look, young blood,
great example.
As bad as you think you are, and I know you've literally been raised in a war zone. It's just a different war zone. Mm-hmm. It's not Iraq. What they call it, Chirac. Right? It's a different war zone. So he's also been a warrior. He's also somebody who's been in war all his life. Probably had a gun on him since he was 12 trying to stay alive. But those people who've been in war should also be able to relate to people who are growing up in domestic war. One warrior to another.
Remember in the late 70s in California and in New York, they had these gangs. And so they formed the community. Men formed these groups.
Mm-hmm. The ones with the red berets?
What were they called?
I'm trying to. They weren't something another angels.
I know. I don't want to say Blue Angels.
I'm trying to remember.
But
I think.
But they were.
I remember
and
this group.
But
you
they
were
would go
talking
through the
about.
neighborhood, and all the gangsters and all those idiots that were hot. They made the neighborhood safe, and then
That's
they continued to patrol it. This went on for literally 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Where they were there, and then it was just no longer a need because the idiots, the disrespectful young idiots, and the gangsters realized that these guys ain't playing. We ain't got a place here, and it's the same. It's in that fashion that you're speaking. That's
correct.
We should be banding together.
Correct. And this was done by, very popular, of course, in the 60s by the Black Panther Party. That first started out making neighborhoods safe and provided education and after-school programs and breakfast programs and pantry programs for, so a lot of these programs were in place before they were attacked. They're still needed because you have a neighborhood now where first you have to teach
Guardian Angels. Thank you. Yeah, they
Guardian
said it, the Guardian
Angels. There we
Angels.
go.
That's right.
I remember
I
the
appreciate
angel
that. You guys and girls are looking out for us. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you again.
And
for
of
that
course, they said the Nation of Islam has a little thing like that too. But
right.
I haven't seen them in Pine Hill.
No, but now in Orlando area, there's a group called Men on Purpose. Give props to them. They work with young men throughout the group. I know several of the brothers. I'm like I
heard they actually take some of the groups and squash if they have issues. They come and get together and work them out instead of clashing it out.
There are groups out here where men are doing beautiful things and they need to be highlighted, and we need more media attention on them. So we understand there are groups in most of these cities where people are working to better everything going on. So Men on Purpose is one of such groups that I know in Central Florida that work with the youth in the school. They just did a cleanup this Saturday of the neighborhood where they literally went through neighborhoods and Rosemont, different areas, and picked up trash. So they teach them different skills. They take them to museums where they can learn about their indigenous culture. They're educating them and teaching them different life skills. And so there are men out here doing this work. But of course, we need to have more media outlets so these things can be highlighted. Correct. So that way you don't think it's just not happening. There are men working to uplift young men.
I think it's dust in the air or something. She said I need to drink some water. I just drunk some good looking out. Hey, okay, so real quick, we're going to take this in another direction real quick on the same topic.
Yes.
But let's talk about, and I lost my thought reading that drink water thing.
But that's good. Drinking water is always great. And we want to make sure we stay hydrated.
There's something. Guess it's not that important. There was a point I was going to bring up and
that's
take
fine.
us through that.
We just keep moving. It'll come to you.
Okay, so
we just keep it moving.
Yeah, let's let me see where we're going to go from here.
Well, we were dealing with all the different solutions. So like we keep on giving solutions.
Okay.
We need to get with the men band together to do more commerce. Where we talked about that, so we could provide more economic base for ourselves. Okay, and not rely on so many corporations to hire us and things. Be more entrepreneurial, more networking. Unity is the key. Okay, and the reason why I said that before is because the numbers of people going to college, graduating, and getting into corporate America right now, the women are by far leading that, and a lot of programs are targeted more to helping out women than men.
That's
even
correct.
though they expect men to be the providers. So most of your scholarships.
Great.
Most of your scholarships to get into universities and so forth.
Very good point you just brought up.
Yeah, so how are you going to become the number one economic provider when there's more scholarships to send your wife to college than you? When also small business loans go to disproportionately to women right now to offset the fact that they didn't own most of the companies in the past, which I understand. That needs to be addressed. But at the same time, the clash right now is traditional versus new age. What do I mean by that? They want the men to be traditional, pay for everything, provide everything. But the new age doesn't provide for you to do that, which is why you have to become more creative and become more entrepreneurial, because most of the funding right now will go to pay for women's scholarships. Most of the business loans will go for minority women businesses and other women loans.
That is correct.
So how are you going to do that and at the same time have the men make most money to pay for everything?
And not only that, even if you are a man and get the loan, getting the contracts to move your business is a huge block.
Right. So we have a lot of things we need to work on, and unity is the key, because we do have the skills in separate pieces.
Correct.
We just need to collaborate and bring our collective efforts together to be successful.
Correct.
That's why I keep stressing unity, that word over and over and over. Most men naturally want to be competitive because that's part of the hormone. We want to compete. We think we have to compete for everything, but certain times you need to learn when to put that to the side and recognize I need to work with men not always trying to compete with men. And in this case, commerce, law, and certain things, we need to actually work together in those things. Community policing, community protection, that's when we need to work together. That's not a competitive thing now. That's when you need to put your ego to the side and realize we need to do this collectively. And we've done it before. Here's a beautiful thing.
That's wisdom.
Have no fear. We've done it before. Nothing's new under the sun, so we can do it again. Let me just put that out there. So this is not reinvent. This is not inventing a wheel. This is finally getting back on the wheel. Remember, on the ball.
All right.
So you can come around and go around and around.
So, okay, here's what I was going to say. Is that I noticed something though different. First of all, I just want to add this in real quick. Okay. To our listeners and our viewers, I want to make a comment on the areas. Pine Hills, which is soon to become Prime Hills. Prime Hills.
Already becoming that.
Already. Thank you for the
Already
correction.
becoming that.
People, hold on to your properties. Do your best to put yourself in a position where you're not ran out or ran off. Like, think about if you're around, or you remember. If you don't, find out about the situation that popped off in Paramore. They're about to try and recreate that situation over here.
It's already happening. You know how I was able to tell that there was major change coming? When I first started coming through the Orlando area, Pine Hills area, back in early 1991, 92, people would always complain that they were in the lightning state, the state which they claim had the #1 lightning strikes, had an afternoon thunder shower every day in the summer, and there were no covered bus stops in Pine Hills. None.
Wow.
You pretty much had to stand outside and almost get electrocuted every time. So when I knew there was major change coming, it was when they finally came through and started putting all of the bus stops. They started putting brand new bus stops everywhere. And,
good point.
And they had
I was wondering,
solar
why would they do
driven
something?
bus stops. They have a solar panel on top.
Okay, hold on real quick.
Yeah, come on over here, Brother Kister.
Just put it down in front of the camera right there.
Say hello, brother, to our listening audience.
Yes, my brothers and sisters, peace, love, and power at all times. It's always good to be in the house.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for being here, brother, sharing what you do. So that's what I knew.
Yeah,
that's when I knew
good point.
that
Something to
massive
realize.
change was coming, because all these years when these
But they
people
weren't doing it for us.
when all these people were complaining that there was no actual bus stops, just something as basic as standing in the rain, not having to stand in the rain, get wet to and from work. Just this is basic human rights we're talking about here.
Right, transit solution.
Okay, just basic
Transit quarters.
transportational courtesy. That if someone wants to patronize your business, they want to actually purchase a ticket on your bus to support your bus system, the least you would do is make sure they have a safe place to get on and off the bus, right? Is that asking for too much? Is that asking for too much that they actually want to patronize your bus system? Mind you, they didn't just go out and build their own. They want to patronize your bus system, but yet a slap in the face is that they need to stand in the afternoon thunder shower and probably get electrocuted with lightning in Florida, the #1 lightning state, because they wouldn't provide any bus stations. So when I saw them putting brand new bus stations in all throughout the neighborhood, I said, whoa. And not just any bus stop rather, but they had a solar panel on the top to provide the light for the night.
Yes.
So it was off the grid.
Although they're failing to maintain them, but
Right,
yes.
but off the grid.
But
So they were
notice that.
futuristic at least, because remember, I was a minister of health and wellness. I deal with a lot of I'm an environmental activist, and I'm always pushing for renewable and cleaner energy and so forth. So I noticed the fact that the bus stops had solar panels to run the LED lights that were inside. So when I saw them doing that, I said, oh, this is a gentrification move right here. Because all these years when these people were in the neighborhood complaining, they never did this. So the minute they're doing it, I know they weren't doing it for the current population. So soon thereafter, lots started getting taken over. Sidewalks are getting brand new pavings, and buildings are changing. And then next thing you know, the Barnett Park gets renewed.
Yes.
Massive money is pumped into that. Pavilions, which don't run by us, start getting upgraded for different concerts and parks, and off-road bike competitions, and all kinds of paint gun competitions, things that we don't participate in the neighborhood. Anybody in Pine Hills running around with paint guns.
Yeah, the dirt bike. Yeah, the
So all of a sudden
BMX
that came
track
after.
and all that.
Yeah,
got
all
really
of those
refined.
things got refined to further prove the point that the neighborhood is being developed for and making ripe for takeover. So this is what we have to pay attention to. So this is why we also need to build our commercial base so we can then, support ourselves and be wise in how we handle our business. We need to become more financially educated, more financially savvy. But the most thing I keep emphasizing, we need to become more unified. Unity is the key to everything. Any group being successful, they're united. United you stand, divided you fall was a famous song, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're back, otherwise your back's will be against the wall. So united you stand. We need to exercise unity. We have to see ourselves united not only as men, we have to see ourselves united as a human family with our mothers, our children, our wives, our grandparents.
Yeah, restoring the family
and
values
restoring that foundation. Family has the word unity built in. You can't have family without unity. You have dysfunction and individualism without family. That's the opposite of family. When you start thinking it's only about you and you're going to do whatever you want to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you start thinking about only you,
changes,
then you won't focus on the whole family unit and you won't be able to build a strong and powerful nation that way. That's what I would add. So those are a lot of the solutions. We just handed out like 10 solutions. Economy, building an economy, learning to control your emotions, meditation, getting off drugs, eating healthy, take care of your prostate. Men, take care of your prostate. Can't say that over and over. Prostate cancer is rising as a number one killer amongst men. Kidney problems because of over escapism. Let me explain what I mean by that. There was a famous commercial by Southwest, and it started off like this: "Feel like you want to get away." When you feel like you want to get away from all the troubles and everything dealing in life, you become ripe for the picking, meaning you want to become an alcoholic. I want to drink away my sorrows. I want to smoke away my sorrows. I want to snort away my sorrows. I want to inject away my sorrows. I need some magic pill to make me feel high so I don't deal with my sorrows. All of these are escapism because we don't want to face the reality. You will never become a real man in the world if you cannot face and conquer your demons. I'm going to say it again. You will never be a real man in the world. That's not just in America, in the whole world, the whole planet. If you cannot conquer and defeat your demons. This was exemplified in the movie by Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. He would have this nightmare over and over where he was fighting this demon, and the master told him, if you do not conquer him in your dreams, you will never become the dragon. You'll never become the master of the dragon. So he had to learn to fight this demon and conquer him. That was a symbolism. Okay. You had to conquer that demon, that inner fear, that whatever, to finally rise up and become your great self. So trying to drink away your sorrows is not the solution. You're going to end up with messed up kidneys, liver problems, prostate problems. You're just putting yourself in the early grave, and you're going to become more angry, and you're going to lash out against those around you, which could be your mother, could be your wife, could be your children, could be another man. You're so angry, you got so much anger inside of you, he looks at you the wrong way, you want to kill him. He steps on your shoe in the club, you want to shoot him. You see, because we've developed so much hatred. We have to learn to cultivate peace, and you can only cultivate peace from within in order to give it to somebody else. You can only give what you have. Remember that principle. If I have no money, can I give you any? No. If I have no love, can I give you any? No. You have to cultivate it within. That's the inner standing. Learn to take an inner stand. Your inner stand?
And not the last point, but one of the points before we, I guess, wrap it down. Yes. Start breaking it down.
Yes, because we're looking at
finances.
Finances. We need more. We need to actually go back to trades. That might sound crazy, but a lot of people are now caught up in degrees. But if you don't own a corporate structure to hire the people with the degrees, you won't be able to build a huge economy. Whereas trades are always needed. Whether it's technology trades with computer programming, coding, electrical, circuit board creation, but also don't forget the fundamentals of life. You need to eat. So we need farmers. You need water. So we need people that can purify clean water or have water sources, ways of capturing water, rain catchment systems. You need the basics. You need building, people that can do construction. I educate on geodesic dome homes, energy efficient buildings that are category 5. We go back to original shapes. There's a reason why all the ancient structures are either domes or pyramids or conical, because they withstand the test of time. They withstand changes in your weather seasons. Correct. So especially in Florida, the part of the hurricane belt, you should always be in dome homes. Every house here should be a half shell or a half dome or a half circle. Why? It's harder for a hurricane to grab onto it and blow it over. It's hard for a tornado to pick up a shell, a half shell, or a half circle, or a pyramid. This is why pyramids have withstood 15,000 years of wear and tear on them, because you can't just grab onto the sides of a pyramid and pick it up and throw it around. So all your buildings should have natural shapes from nature: half domes, shells, pyramids, domes, conicals. So we need skills like that. Let's teach the young men that we're not just entertainers. We're not just sports entertainers or musical entertainers. What's happening is that too much energy has been given to entertainment over real scientific industry. So your average young man is worshiping more LeBron James, even though I love that brother for what he does off the court. The average young man is quicker to pick up a basketball to become a LeBron James versus picking up a tool to become a Lewis Lattimore. Let's invent in a light bulb, or become a scientist or a NASA, so we can eventually have our own space program, or to become a farmer. Even though LeBron James can't do what he does without food, could he do that without a?
Well, I don't really like on a personal note. When we're talking about community and these types of things, I like to think about more realistic people to be related to, LeBron James, whatever.
No, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the problems we're having in our community is because our young men are emulating these people, or trying to emulate them, versus emulating me and you, regular people in the community.
Great point.
So that's the point.
Right.
That's the reason I'm bringing them up.
Trying to be something.
I'm saying too many people want to be a bad bouncing ball superstar versus a man with regular skills that can build a house, repair a car, plant some food, purify some water.
And it's not a dumbing down thing that he's talking about. This is
what you need for society. Because even the guy I'm talking about, LeBron James, still needs toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us produce toilet paper? Okay, he still needs water. How many people are producing clean water or housing or transporting clean water? He still needs food to eat to do what he's doing. How many of us are farming, have a side yard farm, a backyard farm, a community farm? This is why we bring up these issues. Because even if you're some big superstar, you can't eat your Bentley. You can't eat your fur coat. You can't eat your Rolex. So we keep overlooking the fundamentals, looking for the fancy. We actually need more fundamentals. There's too many that they call deserts in our neighborhood, food deserts.
Correct.
So we need to be getting more into farming, agriculture, co-ops, those type of things.
So that we're not the labor class for the white supremacist system, but we become our own labor class and self-sufficient as black.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we don't even want to buy into certain words.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. I'm talking about self-sustainability
amongst
and
ourselves.
Self-growth, and understanding that you're not talking about necessarily separating from people. You just need to do what's basically fundamentally logical in the whole universe. You need to learn to provide for yourself. Do you realize that beavers don't go looking to lions to build a house? Do you realize that? Monkeys don't go looking to birds to build their house. Monkeys know how to build a house, right? Every species know how to provide for their basic needs. And so we're just talking common sense here. But of course, we live in a world today where common sense is uncommon.
Well, we actually live in a world not just where common sense is uncommon, but where we live in a world where we have to understand that we're in a time we're not in a time between, say, 1916 to 2019. Not much has changed. Mm-hmm. We have to come to understand and strongly wake up and consider and recognize that if we don't start building within our own community, and I mean as blacks, with each other, so creating a community for ourselves, because we have no representation.
Well, we're supposed to learn.
We don't have no representation.
We have to learn to represent.
We don't have no
ourselves.
Representation when it comes to this law system and this judicial and these things that are in place. And the people that are there, they don't represent us, the common people.
This is why we have to learn law.
But we have each other, and we have that in common, a common enemy. So we need to develop these skills and these things, and invest our money back into each other, like every other race of people are doing.
Right, and of course the construct of race is
like every other. You got like your Latinos, like your Asians.
Correct.
Because let's not get off script here or forget what the main purpose of coming together and talking.
It's to build
and communing.
That's right.
Is about stop being islands and coming together. For
That's
what
right.
purpose?
Become
for the
continents.
purpose of having each other to rely on, and not the unfair justice systems and the things that are out there that keep us that we can't rely on anyway. And that's what it comes back to when we're talking about community security.
Yes, because see, it's all about
where we can rely on where man need to come into, we're calling man to a standard to get on code together for the purpose of community, for being able to do things together, not be in a position where we're together, where the social system is broken. So coming on code so that when we're socially involved with one another, we can be together and not divided as we are.
right, exactly. And I may when you say the social system is broken, I may not even say the system is broken. What I mean by that is we are broken, meaning we're not utilizing our systems that was in place because we went away from our indigenous culture. Because we knew how to live in harmony. But a lot of us are miseducated about this and don't realize there is such a thing as ma'at. They don't even know what that means when you say that word. They have not spent the time studying what ma'at is and living in ma'atamatical way, meaning in precise balance and harmony and reciprocity. This is why we have to realize that our culture is still here and alive and well, but it's not being utilized. And if it's not being utilized, you cannot get the benefit from it. Whereas others may come in and actually utilize your knowledge against you. Because think of the art of war. I keep bringing up that book. We need to understand the art of war. A knife is a tool. You can cut bread or a piece of mango. You can cut a throat. Correct. It's what you do with the knife. Mm-hmm. So we need to, once again, learn the tools and how to apply them in a positive way.
True.
So this is where we want to, leave that message with the people. Yeah. The key is, once again, unity is the strength, but working on yourself also is a part of the dynamic, because you have to learn to become your best self, and then you bring your best self to the table.
All right, and with that, we're going to sign out, everyone.
Yes, we're going to be signing out. It's been an incredible time speaking with you, sharing with you. And like I said, divine alignment, I just happened to be passing through and didn't even know this was going on, with Brother Ross. And we just glad to be here.
Certain.
So thank you for taking your time to spend with us as well. A lot of things you could be doing with your time, for sharing, and thank you for all the wonderful questions also in the chat room.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So give your information.
Just before we leave, once again, I'm Brother Jason of Third Eye Visions Unlimited.com, and that's the number 3 RD EYEVISIONS Visions with an S Unlimited.com. Once you land on our page, you can find our YouTube channel. Our Facebook and our Instagram logos are in the lower right. You can click those, like, share, and follow us. We offer holistic solutions for the mind, the body, the spirit, for men, women, and children, to help you heal and grow and become and experience the unlimited you.
Every time I hear that word unlimited, man, it makes me think of you. The unlimited you. That's it.
I'm raw signing out.
I love it. Listen, everybody, we did a lot today. We also had a conference called Brother Keston, and that was audio only. And many of you already know that. And like I said, I'm going to work on those things tonight and get them up. And there's a whole lot of other footage. We have a Renegade Jones a piece that I'm going to put up tonight. I'm going to work on it, but it may be up in the wee hours. I don't know if I'll put it up like 9, 10 in the morning or put it up in the wee hours. Let me know. You tell me, wee hours or 10 o'clock in the morning. You let me know when it's up. I'm going to be up for a little while, so I'm glad about that. And oh, you took it off? Yeah. Let me just mute this, right? Yeah, so it works good. I'm going to just cut it off because, oh man, look at that big shiny head right there. Oh my God. A fly tried to land on my head and it skid and busted its neck when it hit the wall, for real.
I think you were blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light. I know them little songs and whatnot. So yeah.
Keeping it fundamental.
Fundamental. Yeah, so we're going to wrap this down. I'm having so much fun, Thank you all too. I let them fly and provide the information, and I'm just so appreciative. This is the way it's supposed to be done. It's not about me. It's just, we have some real powerful, dynamic brothers here who have a lot of information to share. Man, you're a great interviewer, man. I'll be afraid to sit down with you because you ask those probing questions that I can't help but answer. You know what I mean? So, I'm saying it as a compliment. That you have that thing, man. And brother here, I got so much to ask you. We got to go in depth. I really want to have a show with you, and I want you here too. We're gonna sit around the table. I'll arrange the cameras and say all the cameras are working now, and we go in depth. We have some call-ins, and I mean, of course, you can't say everything because you have work prepared, you have books and different things, but things in general that you can use to promote, because in our community sometimes we don't connect with, not you, but we just don't think that there's a brother in our midst who has supreme knowledge on these things. What a doctor, the regular doctor at the hospital is not going to tell them. Western medicine is different from what you offer. When we get sick and go to the hospital, they never offer a cure. They just hide the symptoms. So imagine your house caught on fire and it's a fire burning down the house and the firemen come around, there's no more smoke, let's go, but the fire's still there. You understand? So exactly. And Western medicine only addresses one part of the problem. If it's something physical, there's also an emotional element to it and spiritual element to it. And you have to address, if I made one of these legs on a tripod shorter, everything else is affected and it's going to fall. Right? So this is what you deal with, and this is what we need to go back to, because nature gives cures. Hospitals hide the symptoms, but nature gives cures. And everything that the hospitals use is a synthetic derivative of what's in nature, but it's not as effective. Wait, I'm talking like you right now, so I'm hanging around you so much. But anyway, everybody.
Positive right.
Exactly. So I'm going to wrap this down, everybody. I'm going to show my face once again, and we'll be back at it tomorrow and the next day and another one and another one. We got a lot of work to put up and stuff like that. Next weekend is really going to be pumping. I have so much to share, but I'm going to wrap it down right now. Who knows? It might come back on later on in the middle of the night. So you all have a good night. Look for more stuff. There will be more stuff. And what Renetta Jones put down earlier was fire. We have Emma, the elder. She put something down that was fire and very entertaining, and several other conversations that I just don't want to lose because I got so much. Anyway, you all have a good night and know that I love you all. Here's the contact information, scurvmedia@gmail.com, or call me or text get better through better, 407-590-0755. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, okay? Download the app at the Google Play Store and the App Store right now. Google shut down my app for a minor reason, something that I overlooked. So it'll be another week or so before it's up on Google. Those who downloaded it from Google still have it, but on at the App Store, it's still up right now. So don't think that there's something bootleg about me, all right? And the other thing is, sign up and join to Melanin Envy. That's the official Lancescurv community forum. If you have any difficulties signing in, you can text me your email address, your preferred username spelled out exactly the way you want, uppercase, lowercase, whatever, and your temporary password, and I'll set everything up. And you text to that number, 407-590-0755, and I will set you up. I actually have 2 people that I have to set up that I haven't done in the last 2 days because we've been running so much. Anyway, the last thing is sign up for the text alert. Text the keyword SCURV to the short code number 74121. When we blast the important shows, you'll always get them. It gets kind of expensive, so I don't do it for every show. Okay, but for tonight with the conference line, I did. Anyway, you all have a wonderful night. Know that I love you all, and I'm going to keep on working, bring more dynamic people to you, whether it's here in the studio, over the phone, in the streets, or in another country. Love you all. You take care. Bye-bye.
Identifying.
Let's go. You're about to experience the uncensored conversations, stimulating wit, and the thought-provoking wisdom. Bold, raw, and uncut. Right now.